W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
It's Kevin and Query.
I throw, you catch. It's not that hard, okay? All right, get the out of here.
I'm going to talk a lot about drills and fundamentals.
Watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it.
On 93.5
Watch it.
and 107.5.
Boom, baby.
The Fan.
Okay, here's the good news, bad news to start on a Wednesday. Actually, good news, bad news, better news. Kevin Bowen, which would you like first?
Well, let's get the bad out of the way.
The bad news is this. Well, actually, you got to start with the good so that the bad makes sense.
Geez.
So let's start this over again. Mark, can you start over the whole thing?
Yeah,
just
rewind.
We'll restart the whole show here. Good morning to you on a Wednesday, 7 o'clock in the morning. My name is Jake Query, Kevin Bowen here as well as Mark Dykton. Kevin, we will begin with this. I've got good news, bad news, and then I guess better news than the good news. Which would you like first?
Okay, is your good news Wyoming won?
Wyoming lost.
Did they lose?
Yeah, couldn't handle it, man.
I saw they were leading.
They got up to 22.
Early.
They went to the pit in Albuquerque. I would say I'm upset by it, except for that when New Mexico was the 50th state for me to attend, or attend is the wrong word, to step foot in, I called ahead of time because I wanted to see the pit in Albuquerque. And when I called, the guy that answered the phone happened to be the building supervisor for the pit. And he's like, when you get here, here's my cell phone number. You call me and this guy took me through the $1 million tour, and I have a picture in the men's locker room at New Mexico holding up my 50-state sign. So
you cheated on your Cowboys.
They gave me all kinds of Lobos.
Haunt you
they got all kinds of Lobos gear, so I can't complain with New Mexico beating Wyoming. But that's disappointing news.
Okay, so what is the good news?
The good news is this morning, folks, if you are getting up for the first time in quite some time, you do not need to warm up your car nor put on gloves or a coat.
Balmy.
Jacket, maybe. It is in the high 40s this morning, and life, at least relatively speaking, is easy. That's the good news. The bad news is there was not a single warm thing about Indiana shooting from the outside last night, as Wisconsin is on the ropes and then says, you know what, guys? Look at these clowns they've got shooting the ball from the outside. Let's just have them keep chucking it up. Parker Stewart with one of the most ill-advised shots I'd ever seen. Like, what in the world are you doing? And Indiana now is, you talk about having your back against the wall, the Hoosiers exactly that.
Yeah, it just collapsed down the stretch. I was thinking walking in here, Jake, hearing the copier fire up there in the break room. I'm not sure what is louder, the copy usage when you go in there to use the copier or some of the bricks that IU threw up last night in the final few minutes. Like, we're talking holes in the backboard type shots. Honestly, it was IU's best offense, though, Jake, because the bricks were so bad they knew they could run down the offensive rebound.
That's true.
You know, like as soon as Xavier Johnson shot it, he beat the ball to the rim because he knew it was going to miss. Trey Galloway, the same.
Listen. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I get so frustrated by this. This is why, and by the way, the better news is we have brand new cameras in here. Nick was in here early this morning setting up cameras for our YouTube. I guess, are we in high def now? Do I not look as fat?
Oh my
maybe?
God, your pores are stunning this morning.
See, is that it? That's what worries me. I'm very neurotic.
No, you look fine.
Could be having a makeup during the break here, a little makeup.
Yeah, these cameras are so good. You can see into the hallway where Kevin's at. You can see the hallway behind him.
Really?
Yeah.
Hang on. I have powder in here somewhere, Kevin. Do you need any?
Oh, boy. Well, you might need a makeup to
It's
mask
makeup powder, right? We're not going 1980s powder.
what that shooting was last night. Yeah, the Parker Stewart on that final possession, Jake, did he think there was 2 seconds to go in the game?
I don't know what was going on there. That was terrible.
I'm thinking Trace Jackson-Davis deserves a touch here. Play through him.
I've got gum, it's got gum on it, but I've got makeup. Do you need any powder?
Oh, geez. Wow, you really have it.
We got a nice text yesterday from Amy who's watching.
Yeah, shout out to Amy. Good one for her Bulldogs.
She's a Butler fan. She might want you to wear some powder.
Simos Lukosius, I think if I'm pronouncing that right, banking in a 3. It was just such awful, execution is the word that you use, Jake, but again, the fundamental aspect of shooting the basketball. We talk about, more so with the Colts and Pacers, we talk about the term roster construction so much. Well, that's like a big part of college basketball nowadays because you have transfers and you can use the portal and early enrollees and guys can leave whenever they want. Like, that is a huge element to it and what Purdue has done in building around their big guys, I think what Illinois has done in building around Kofi Cockburn, I watch Indiana, Jake, and they need shooting more than the other teams because Race Thompson is not going to stretch the floor either. And Race Thompson's a fine player. But for just the fundamental aspect of shooting the basketball, free throw line or wide open three-pointers, it is amazing to me. Just not only the misses, but how bad the misses are.
This is what drives me insane about college basketball today. Not college basketball, not players, but fans, okay? And we'll get way into this later in the show, but Indiana fans are as guilty of this as anybody. Now, I remember when I was a kid, so I'll put myself in the same category, guilt by association. I loved, and I can't be the only person in his late 40s that's hearing this. It's like, yep, I remember exactly what you're talking about. I loved back in the early to mid 80s, late 80s, buying Street and Smiths at the beginning of the season. Street and Smiths was the basketball Bible. And in the back of it, it listed the 25 top prospects in the country, high school players. And it had a little oval, circular headshot of them and one little paragraph that told you where they were from. I remember, Gerard Mustaf, and then at the bottom it would say considering Maryland, Georgetown, and Indiana. And you're like, oh, man. Eric Anderson, considering Indiana, Illinois, and Notre Dame. And I would literally circle the guys at Indiana that were considering Indiana, and I couldn't wait for the fact that Indiana's going to get a Street and Smiths All-American. I was a diehard IU fan. But I was also 14. When players today commit to Indiana and you get these dorks that are 50 years old and they're smoking a cigar, wearing candy striped pants, doing dances on the internet.
You've gone clowns and dorks.
Having their daughters send their 8-year-old daughter send videos to the player. I get it. But didn't we do this for Tamar Bates? This was the answer. Oh, man, Tamar Bates, this guy's going to be unbelievable. Look at this video of him working out, going to his left and dunking over some 5'10 student manager. Okay. And I'm sure he's going to be a fine player at Indiana. But what was he last night? 0 for 8? How many of those highlight videos that you were doing dances and smoking cigars to helped out last night when he was chucking up a bunch of crap with Parker Stewart that was absurd? And where is the late in games, I know Mike Woodson's in his first year as a head coach in college basketball, and there's an acclimation period, and I think clearly he can coach. I'm not denying that, but where the hell was it in the last minute of the game?
Yeah, that was a horrific possession.
I've seen better possessions at the Hyper. Honestly, what the hell was that? It looked like total dysfunction junction.
Jake, to your earlier point, what about player development? I'm watching Johnny Davis, who is 100 spots in recruiting rankings behind Christian Lander. Hell, he's probably behind Anthony Leal coming out of high school. And he's turned into a lottery pick. And here we are in Bloomington where the highly recruited guys, there is no sort of player development down there at all. I think that just adds to, with IU's, season on the line is too aggressive of a statement. But in a game that we've talked about, all week long, is as close to a must-win as you can have based off what your schedule looks like the rest of the way. The fact that you have, 2 really difficult road games the rest of the way as well, and we know how this team has played away from home over the past couple of years. The fact that with the season on the line, you have Xavier Johnson and Trey Galloway putting holes in the backboard. Where are we at right now?
And everyone in that arena, everyone knew, Martha the mop lady knew who Wisconsin was going to in the last 2 minutes of that game.
Sure, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Johnny Davis had the final 13 in the game, Jake.
Honestly?
He had the final 7 in the first half.
Let me tell you something. Assembly Hall, one of the great things about Assembly Hall is some of the traditions that have stood forever, and I get it. I'm assuming, open disclaimer, it's been a year or two since, it's been more than that. It's been probably 2 or 3 years since I've been down there for a game. Do they still have the ushers in the red sport coats?
I believe so.
Because that should have been their perimeter defense in the last 2 minutes of the game because they were just guiding. Here, right this way. Right down the lane. Here, move this way. Do you need me to get you, security? Literally, there was zero perimeter defense.
They really miss Robert Fennessy as well. Xavier Johnson has got to be on the floor. Christian Lander got in last night. Immediate liability on the defensive end of the floor, which is what we talked about with Jeff Rabjohns. yesterday. So that is now 4 straight losses for the Hoosiers, 7-8 in the Big Ten. They are at Ohio State on Monday. That game pushed 2 days out for some weather issues Ohio State had in their schedule. And then after that, it's 3 games you would appear is pretty winnable, but then at Purdue to close out the season. And I still think they have to find one more notable win. I just think with their non-conference, as poor as it was, you have to find one more win. They will be sweating the bubble. And I do think there's like a bigger picture question here of just like...
Do you think they're still in right now?
If you're making a field of 68 right now, Jake, yes, but you are teetering big time. And, Jake, like, it's not hard to make the NCAA tournament. 68 teams make it. You have so many opportunities playing in the Big Ten Conference that other teams and other conferences aren't afforded to.
You're under 500 in the conference, and now you got to go
for the umpteenth year in a row. Like, when is the last time IU's finished over 500 in the Big Ten?
That's a good question. They haven't made the tournament. This would be 6 years if they miss it, right? Brutal.
It's incredible. And again, 68 teams make it. We're not acting like this is the Sweet 16 or something along those lines. So just a horrific final 5 minutes last night. 1 field goal made for Indiana in their own building. They lose last night. 74-69. That was the final.
I said Wisconsin by 4.
Yeah, you were right. I thought Assembly Hall would push Indiana over the finish line.
It tried.
Gosh, man, those clanks at the end of the game.
Now, did you watch any of the Olympics last night, Kev?
No, like just the brief start. What was it? Hell, I think every night I feel like they start with bobsled. That was it. Do you think Training Camp Jimmy will be calling in today? Saw that tweet. Remember Training Camp Jimmy a few weeks ago, Jake?
Yes.
You think he'll call in?
I think he's laying low today.
Probably not a day for Training Camp Jimmy to call in. But no, I did not watch the Olympics. Saw the U.S. hockey team
lost. They're out, right?
Quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Is that a big upset? Without NHL players, I don't really know.
I think it's an upset because, and again, like you, it's not like I have, like the scouting reports heading into. I think the way that they were playing, yes, I think they were expected to, because they were playing really well and they'd gotten into the quarterfinals, and then I think it was thought that, wow, the way that they're playing and this team is really good, it was kind of an expectation that they would advance past yesterday. But they did lose in a shootout, right? They were shut out in a shootout.
Yes.
Say that 10 times.
Yeah, to Slovakia. Is that what I'm seeing here?
That is correct.
No, I watched a little bit of the Pacers. Giannis, if you can have a quiet 50 points, I'd say he had a quiet 50 last night. I don't know, maybe with how competitive the Pacers were throughout that game, that could be a banner-hanging moment compared to how the past performances against Milwaukee usually goes. But in all seriousness, Jake, the new guys continue to show you something. Buddy Hield had a big night shooting the basketball. Tyrese Haliburton and Jalen Smith, my guy off the bench, 11-7. Well, I guess he started last night, 3 of 5 from 3 there. You continue to get nice moments there from the
Buddy
new guys.
Hield's not afraid to uncork it, is he?
Oh, my gosh. You talk about a green light. What
do
you have?
36, right?
Man.
8 threes, I think.
I think we've seen the full Buddy Hield experiment. It wasn't he 1 of 12 the other night?
Well, that's the thing with him. He is a volume shooter and he's a rhythm shooter, right? So you got to get him going and in motion, and then all of a sudden it comes together for him. And in games, he can catch lightning in a bottle. He's an exciting player. There's no doubt about it. I think we've known he's basically the same player he's been since he was at Oklahoma, right?
Yeah. The light is neon green for him. Tyrese Haliburton, 17-8. You look at Haliburton over these 3 games as a Pacer, averaging 20 points, 10 assists, and shooting over 50% from 3.
By the way, during the Super Bowl, I saw repeatedly a commercial for this show, The Tiger King. Did you see that commercial?
As in, Tiger King when it came out at the start of the pandemic?
No, okay. It's not the reality show. It's a show about the reality show.
Which makes zero sense.
Right. Boy, nothing says 2022 TV like that.
Here's the thing. Tiger King was literally 50 years from now, there are going to be 2 studies that were done about the quarantine and the effects of COVID-19. One is a whole different talk show we could spend 4 hours about, which is in my opinion, the start of the dissolve of Metroplex America in terms of everybody I got to live downtown so that I can walk to work in a skyscraper. A lot of those places are not coming back. People working from home. That's a whole different issue. The other is people are going to look at Tiger King, and they're going to say there was this TV show, this documentary, this 4-part documentary that was on a thing called Netflix that literally everyone in the country watched because people realized they had nowhere to go, and it was like they were all snowed in, and they had to watch television to entertain themselves and then talk about it via text and Zoom with friends, and so they all watched this thing called Tiger King. Fine. So now NBC Paramount is doing a fictional reenactment of that. And I'm like, well, what is there, Mark, am I wrong here? What is there that we don't know?
I don't know.
Is Carol Baskin alive?
Yeah,
because
she is, I think, yes.
The weird draw to it was that how weird and odd these people were. So then you're just going to amplify that with a fictional retelling? I don't understand.
Right, and that's the other thing is we know how it ends, right? The whole thing about Tiger King when you watched it was you're not going to believe, oh my gosh, just when you thought it couldn't get any weirder. You know how it ends, so what are we doing here? Why we're literally fictionalizing something that is not fiction. I've already seen. You get where I'm going with that, Kevin?
Do you think Carol Baskin could outshoot Xavier Johnson?
Yes. Yes.
Some would say her husband's missing. So.
Well, that is a great point. Yeah, that could get really dicey. Joe Exotic maybe versus Trey Gal. I like watching
Joe Exotic. I don't know that he could actually.
It probably brings a little bit more Brad Davison type intensity. On both ends.
How about
of the floor.
her? Brad Davison is engaged to Tyra Buss. They only mentioned that 20 times.
I missed that. I'm glad that they interviewed her with 7 minutes to go in the game. I was really, really locked into that.
That was an awkward interview for
critical
those that
moment
didn't see
there.
it. The all-time leading scorer in women's basketball in IU history, Tyra Buss, was there at the game wearing her Wisconsin T-shirt.
I'm glad you're filling people in that missed it.
Brad Davison is the star player for Wisconsin, one of them, and apparently they met, she said, on social media, and now they're engaged. But she was like, I was surprised that Indiana fans weren't throwing barbs at her, right? Because she's like, I feel the love from Hoosier Nation.
They were ripping her on social media.
Were they really?
Oh, yeah. Just absolutely. Which, what? She's supporting her fiance, and she's a competitive human being that wants to chirp a little bit. I had no issue with it. I actually enjoy watching Davison's intensity. He's a guy, if he was wearing an Indiana uniform, people would be rocking it and putting it up in the rafters. That's some intensity on both ends of the floor that would be welcome right now. I got to share this with you, Jake. I had a buddy of mine, and we can get more into this maybe in the 7:30 segment, but an IU grad of mine, and I am an IU grad for those that don't know, that texted me yesterday saying I needed to be more supportive about the program.
That you need to be?
Yeah. He goes, I feel like you need to be more supportive. I go, Bill, since I've hit puberty, Indiana's missed the tournament more than they've made it.
I had a guy, Kevin, stop me in the garage area of IMS
what are we doing
5
here?
years ago and read me the riot act because I don't financially support Indiana and send them enough. He was like, how much money do you send to IU? How much money do you send to IU?
Whoa, that's
went
intense.
To IU. Yeah. You have a responsibility to be a cheerleader for Indiana University.
Yeah, you should have contributed to Archie's buyout.
I have a responsibility to objectively opine and observe about the teams that we talk about. I want people that listen to this show to know that what they are hearing is the insight or opinion of somebody who is telling you what is happening as opposed to what I hope is happening.
Yeah, honest feelings.
Correct. And so there are times where I'm going to say Indiana's really good and Purdue did not look good last night. There are times I'm going to say Purdue's really good and Indiana did not look good last night. There are times I'm going to say Butler's playing the best basketball of anybody of the three right now. Or, whatever it might be, or the Pacers or whatever else. That is in my opinion, the responsibility. The one thing I want more than anything else for this show, Kevin, we've been doing this now for 4 months? I guess, something like that?
Yeah, since early November.
Last night we got that really nice text from Amy saying that she enjoys listening to the show even though she's not a diehard sports fan. To me, that is the ultimate compliment because the one thing that I want more than anything is for people to listen to this show and feel like they are getting authenticity of two completely just guys that know that we're lucky to have this job, that have fun with it, and we're inviting other people to sit around the peanut barrel with us and talk sports. That's it, right?
And passionate about the city and the state.
Totally.
And
totally.
To me, when I think of journalistic integrity, I'm never going to say bleep just to say bleep. There's going to be a reason why
right.
I have said those things. So we can get more into that and just the state of where IU is right now. Mike Wells is going to join us in about an hour. I haven't talked to Wells in a little bit, so we'll enjoy catching up with him. Want to get more into Tyrese Haliburton later in the show as well. C.J. Moore wrote a great feature on Haliburton for The Athletic. I know a lot of people have read Haliburton's Players Tribune article that he posted in, I think, the last 24, 48 hours. So we'll get more into Tyrese Haliburton as well. Take your phone calls, 317-239-1070 as well. It is a balmy... Jake, you know people are going to be wearing shorts today. You know,
that's right.
You know, it's one
Break
of those,
out the jams and the OP
it's
tank
one of those
top.
mid-February 55-degree days to rock the shorts. It is a nice Tuesday. It sounds like a windy Tuesday, though. Thank you for tuning in to Kevin and Query. Kevin Bowen, Jake Query, and Mark Dykton on a Tuesday.
School is in session.
The Pacers, Sabonis, gone. Tyrese Haliburton comes in. He played at Iowa State. I did a couple of his games. He has been a very good player.
He's only 21. I mean, this is the gem in that trade that everybody's saying a robbery by the Pacers, which I would agree.
Hey, if you can get more dynamic guys, I'm all in. I want somebody interesting, and Haliburton seems to be that guy.
Dan Dockage, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Come rain or shine, high winds or mild breezes, blue skies or gray, it's a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Do you need furnace or heat pump service and need to find a local well-trained expert you can trust like B&W Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drains? We'll find that American Standard Air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
The real estate market is beyond competitive. I'll get you pre-approved within minutes and locked in at a low interest rate. TheHomeLoanExpert.com. NMLS number 1326241.
It's a big week to save at all 26 Payless Liquors family-owned locations. Oliver Sweet Red, White, and Rosé are only $6.99 a bottle. Bud Light and Coors Light 16-ounce 12-packs are $11.99. Four Roses Yellow Label 750s are just $19.99. Crown in the Purple Bags $22.99. And this Saturday from 9 to 3 at the Southside Flea Market, right next to Payless Liquors East Street location, there's a free COVID vaccination clinic. No appointment needed. More than just your neighborhood liquor store. Open 7 days a week and online at PaylessLiquors.com. Don't pay more, get more, and pay less at Payless Liquors.
March Madness, where allegiances mean everything, and fandom reigns supreme, where Cinderella teams dance with bracketbusters and perennial powerhouses. Your fire fuels their flight. Go beyond your limits and enter the NCAA universe. The road to the Final Four goes through Indianapolis, March 17th and 19th at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Get your seats today at ncaa.com/MVB tickets.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Are you a fan of Twin Peaks? Sign up for their e-club to stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Signing up is easy. Visit TwinPeaksRestaurant.com/Peaks-Club. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Now through February 16th, join a clean and spacious Planet Fitness for zero enrollment and only $10 a month. With tons of equipment and free fitness training, it's the perfect place for everybody to work out.
Even me, Mr. I can't sleep at night, so I keep dozing off during the day.
Especially you, Snoozy. You'll rest easier and feel fit-tacular.
Wait, how did you get in here?
Join in club or at planetfitness.com. Zero enrollment, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Hurry, deal ends February 16th. See club for details.
Ready for spring? How about a trip to Sullivan Hardware and Garden or Allisonville Home and Garden by Sullivan, where you can smell that spring is in the air? Hey, Pat Sullivan here, and this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, everything is 20% off. Best pricing of the season on premium patio furniture, already preseason priced at 30% off. You got it, take an extra 20% off. Now, this only happens once a year. All grills and accessories, 20% off. Best deal of the year on all gas, wood pellet grills, and the Big Green Egg. Everything in lawn and garden, including the Scott's 4-step annual lawn care program, 20% off. Even Benjamin Moore paint is 20% off. Visit the Yellow House at Sullivan's, where all gifts, garden and home accents are, yes, 20% off. Come smell spring is in the air this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only, where everything is 20% off. Sullivan Hardware and Garden, 71st and Keystone, 49th and Penn, Cicero, and Allisonville Home and Garden by Sullivan.
JMV here for Mark Deedle Realty, 317-755-4232. That's 317-755-4232. Online, markdeedle.com. That's markdeedle.com today. The absolute best in what he does, no matter what you're thinking about doing as you're getting into the housing market. In fact, Kevin and Gwen from Bargersville say this about Mark. Excited about moving to a new home, but skeptical about getting the price we needed quickly. Enter Mark Deedle. He had multiple offers in 2 days, and things worked out fantastically. Those are the testimonials you're going to get for the absolute best, and that is Mark Deedle. In fact, his system guarantees multiple offers in 3 days for full market value, or he will list it for free. That's Mark Deedle Realty, 317-755-4232. 317-755-4232. Mark Deedle online, markdeedle.com. That's markdeedle.com today.
We buy any car. We buy any car. We buy any car. Any.
Trading in or selling your car, truck, or SUV? WeBuyAnyCar.com takes the hassle out of selling in just 3 easy steps. 1. Get your free online valuation. 2. Drive to your local car buying center. And 3. Walk out with your check in as little as 30 minutes. So don't wait. Get your free online valuation now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Find out how much your car's worth at WeBuyAnyCar.
Hey, it's JMV. It's a new year. How about going out and getting the best water for your home? Drinking, washing, cleaning. Of course, I'm talking about my friends at Connecticut. Give them a call today for a limited time. You can get a non-electric twin-tank Premier Series water softener and K5 drinking water station for $1,200 off. This whole home system is what I have, and it doesn't matter where you live or what water quality issues you have. This system will give you great water throughout your home. Visit ConnecticutIndy.com today for details.
We're back. Find your outdoor adventure at the Ford 67th Annual Indianapolis Boat, Sport, and Travel Show. February 18th to the 20th and the 23rd to the 27th at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. See the latest boats and RVs, travel destinations from across North America, Tackle Town USA, plus much more. That's over 700,000 square feet of the great outdoors, indoors. Plus, learn from expert fishermen at the 811 Fishing Seminar Series. Save money and buy tickets online at IndySportsShow.com. Another Renfro production.
This Sports Center update on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan is presented by Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Okay, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way right now. And I actually excuse you for this, Kevin, because I do it all the time. It's Wednesday.
I was going to say,
right?
It is a Wednesday, correct?
I think you said Tuesday.
I said Tuesday. Yeah.
You said Tuesday, and I'm like, wait. But here's the thing. And I don't... Listen, anybody listening right now, if they're listening live, is also awake at the hour we are. So I'm not by any stretch pretending that we are supposed to get some sort of Medal of Honor for this. But when your workday begins essentially at, 6:50, and then you have meetings, whatever, and you get home at like noon, I don't know, it does kind of feel Groundhog Day-ish, and it is easy to lose track of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, once 10 a.m. comes, it's like, all right, moving on to the next day here.
Here
we go.
That is right. I take a nap and wake up at like 2, and then I feel guilty.
Yeah. Is it the weekend yet?
Yeah. Pacers last night losing 128-119 to the Bucks in Milwaukee. Giannis Antetokounmpo had 50 points. It took him just 21 field goals to get there. That is the 4th most efficient night on a 50-point performance in the history of the league. He added 14 rebounds. Buddy Hield did have 36 for the Pacers. I guess, as you had mentioned, Kevin, silver lining for Indiana would be they weren't totally humiliated by the Bucks, which they typically are.
It was kind of an odd game, Jake. Like, the Bucks always, I felt like, had a lead, but the Pacers were never, like, blown out. And they were missing, Chris Duarte, obviously Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner continued to be in street clothes. So I actually thought compared to past meetings with Milwaukee, considering they had Giannis, they had Chris Middleton, they had Drew Holiday, it was a rather competitive effort by the Pacers. And the new guys, Buddy Hield, like you said, 36, Tyrese Haliburton, 17 and 8. Jalen Smith, 11 points and 7 rebounds, hit 3 of 5 from behind the arc. I think at this point, this is kind of where you're at. You're looking for nice efforts from the young/new guys, and I don't know, maybe I'm in the minority, but the losses aren't too bad. We got to dial up the simulator a little bit later.
19-40.
2 months, right? Today is the 2-month mark since the last win over an Eastern Conference team.
19-40. I think that's right. They get a chance tonight, though.
Tonight, they've got the Wizards. Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis, who they just traded for, did not play the other night. The Wizards did not play last night, so no back-to-back there. The Wizards are on the outside looking in, Jake. They are, I think, the 11th spot, so they're outside the play-in right now, so an important game for the Wizards here. But this is it, the final game before the All-Star break for the Pacers.
I'm hitting the lottery simulator right now.
Here we go.
Pacers 5th currently. I'm going to click the button. It's Detroit, Orlando, Houston, Oklahoma City, and Indiana. Mark, you got a guess here?
2.
Here we go. Ooh, they fell to 7th.
Gosh, I feel like that's always happens.
How about Detroit when I did this? Dr. Mottman, my apologies, man. 12-45, the Pistons record, and I just dropped them to 3rd.
Oh, boy.
Not good.
Cade Cunningham not getting a lot of help there. So, yeah, that will be a 7 o'clock. Is it 7 o'clock tip
7:30, I think.
7:30 tip. Coverage begins at 7 here on The Fan. Tonight in West Lafayette, in Evanston, I should say, Purdue's got Northwestern. Just a 5.5-point favorite. You surprised by that?
Yeah, that is surprising. Although Purdue has been as good as they are, they do lose a few points for just consistency overall because, and this is a sign of great teams, they've been able to win games that have been kind of ugly. I mean, we saw it against Maryland, right? Great teams find ways to win when it matters, when it comes down to it. But I don't know that they are, and you've seen great teams with this in the past where they go out and just immediately pounce on people and it's over. This Purdue team hasn't necessarily been that as consistently as I think you'd like.
Right now, this stretch feels kind of like that early December stretch, Jake. Remember they struggled late against Iowa. They lost to Rutgers. They probably should have lost to NC State in that neutral court game. Rutgers is coming on a little bit. Indiana still has them, by the way, to end the year. It feels a little bit like that. Maybe not to that extent, but just important to take care of business this week. Purdue also has Rutgers, like you mentioned, on Sunday. And shout out to Butler. Nice win last night. They were missing a couple starters, Bryce Enzi and Bo Hodges. I think I'm pronouncing the kid's name right. Simas Lukosius. Freshman from Lithuania banks in a 3, deep on the right wing. They beat DePaul at DePaul. So that's, is it 2 in a row for Butler?
Well, what I know is this.
We
know
Marquette.
DePaul, I don't know if you knew this or not, but they are called the Blue Demons because back in the day, the letter sweaters were just the D for DePaul, and so they were the D-men. Isn't that what we learned, Mark?
The D-men, yeah.
And then they changed it, but it was a red D, right? So
it was a red D, and then they used the blue for, fandom or something like that.
That illustrious history of DePaul there. I'm glad that we can give you that insight.
That's the kind of stuff people come to this program for that.
Educate and entertain. That's the show motto.
Is it really? Did we just come up with that?
Put it on a shirt.
E&E?
Yeah.
That should be the name of the show. E&E.
Educate and entertain and a small dose of Vegemite.
Little Edumacate. I love me some Vegemite.
Shout out to Nick Geppert, Jake, the Lawrenceburg, Indiana native. He wins silver last night in slope style. And David Woods, again, told us this a few weeks ago. Nick Geppert, the first Hoosier to medal in 3 Olympics in more than a century.
That is very cool. No, so it has been done. I thought he said he would be the first.
Ray Yuri, if I'm pronouncing that right, he won 8 gold medals in standing jump.
Standing jump.
From 1904 to 1912.
Is that now known as the broad jump?
I was thinking about that.
Did they have to rename broad jump to be politically correct?
Didn't we do that for our physical fitness test and PE back in the day there?
Standing jump sounds like the lazy man's Olympics. Stand there and jump for me. And you do a curl.
Let me make sure I have this. Yeah, won 8 golds in standing jumps, 1904, 08, and 12. So Nick Geppert.
How far did he stand jump? Do we know?
I don't have those details. David did not provide out
2 feet
those details. But yeah, Americans went 1-2.
What was this fellow's name? The standing jumper. What's his name?
And then last name EWRY. So obviously those would be the Summer Olympics.
Do you know that the Broad Ripple Pool? Now I'm going to tell this story longer than this music runs. I apologize. Broad Ripple Park, Kevin. You've been to Broad Ripple Park, right?
Yes.
Broad Ripple Park has a pool in it that back in the day was the epicenter of entertainment and leisure in Indianapolis. Broad Ripple Park was an amusement park.
Wayne Gretzky did cannonballs off the...
That's right. Well, a little before that. Like in the 20s and 30s, Broad Ripple Park was an amusement park and like a huge entertainment facility in Indianapolis. They had a lifeguard at Broad Ripple Park that was thought to be an Olympic level swimmer. I believe he was like a high school champion and was thought to be somebody that could represent the United States in the Olympics in swimming. He was a lifeguard at the Broderpool Park pool. A little boy's play ball in the pool got sucked down by the suction at the very bottom of the pool that bubbled the water to keep the water moving. And so the lifeguard, they're like, well, I can't remember his name, I apologize. Get him to go down and get because he's a great swimmer. And he went down, and the suction that had sucked the little play ball down grabbed a hold of his swim trunks, and he couldn't come back up, and he drowned.
Holy jeez.
Easy.
That's an awful.
That was a morbid story.
Boy, you talk about bad news to start a Wednesday here.
We're talking Olympic history. Little anecdotes like that about our great city fascinate me. Man, I know that's not a triumphant story.
Jeez.
Here's. Did you say Ray?
Uplifting hump day. There.
What did you say Ray's last name was?
EWRY?
Yep, here he is right here. He's from Lafayette, Indiana. He contracted polio as a young boy in his childhood and used a wheelchair. It was feared that he would be paralyzed for life. However, he became, so it's pretty impressive that he became.
Wow, it's a wild story.
Totally. He had records. Wow, he had 8 Olympic gold medals in individual events.
Yeah. Standing jumps, David Woods there. So shout out to Nick Gepper again. Lawrenceburg,
that's amazing. Second only to Michael Phelps.
Indiana product. Yeah, that is crazy. I'm shocked.
8 Olympic gold medals in individual events. That's amazing.
I didn't even know the Olympics dated back to 1904.
Kevin, they've been doing the Olympics since they were nude guys in Athens.
Well, I guess keeping those records, you know what I'm saying? Like actual 8 golds and standing jumps. Like, did they just do 3 different standing jumps? They're like,
Spartacus Pardonicus had the standing jump record in 1598.
We did this event on Tuesday.
Sparta.
Let's run it back on Thursday and see if anyone can beat Ray.
Hannibal got a gold in the elephant race back in, come on, they've been doing it forever.
Mike Wells in an hour. When we come back here on Kevin and Corey, we'll get to your calls as well.
You see the things you learn on this program?
Going over last night in hoops.
Educate and entertain.
Not the result at all.
Do the promo, Mark.
In Bloomington. We'll be back 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
The NBA's best face-off in Cleveland for the annual All-Star Games. Sunday night at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I know if our guy Ray suffered from any chronic joint pain with the old standing jump record, but if you are in that boat, you got to give QC Kinetics a try. If you suffer from chronic joint pain, don't assume that steroid shots, pain pills, and surgery are your only options. You can now get real, lasting, life-changing relief from QC Kinetics. They are the nation's leader in using biologic therapies to repair damaged tissue in your aching joints, and their success rate is staggering. People with knee and back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, they're moving again, enjoying life again with help from QC Kinetics. This advanced, unique treatment protocol uses natural biologic agents, mostly from your own body. These are powerful, highly concentrated growth factors that are put directly into your affected joint, and they go to work to soothe the inflammation and restore damaged tissue. A truly regenerative treatment. No surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. Is it time you got a second opinion? Well, then call QC Kinetics now and wake up to life without pain. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation. 463-235-7160. That's 463-235-7160.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly. At thehomeloanexpert.com, we have loans for almost everyone, like our Teacher Appreciation Program. If you work in education, you'll receive a $500 Target gift card at closing. That's how we say thank you. Or for all of our military families, we have the Hero Loan. Not only will we pay for your appraisal, but we can close your VA loan in as little as 14 days. Get pre-approved today at thehomeloanexpert.com. The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Jake Query here. Recently I returned to college to finish my degree, and I encourage you to join me. Whether you're like me and life simply got in the way, or you never went to college at all, Indiana offers financial assistance for those ready to move forward. If I can do it, I know you can too. If you're looking for a better job or doing it for your family, Indiana has grants to pay for over 150 certificates in high-wage industries. You're sure to find a tuition-free option that fits you. To apply, visit nextleveljobs.org today. Sponsored by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. That's nextleveljobs.org.
As a Shane Company jewelry consultant, I get to work with couples looking for their dream engagement ring. Many feel overwhelmed. They just don't know where to start. And that's what I love about my job. I get to make this important experience fun and easy. We don't work on commission, so there's no pressure. When you visit, first, I'll want to know, what are your ideas for your dream ring? what fits your lifestyle, your personality, your budget. Then we'll go from there. We'll look at ring settings and I'll show you options for the center stone. For example, if you choose a classic solitaire ring setting, I can show you how it'll look with different center stones, like a pear-shaped diamond or an oval pink sapphire. We have all shapes, colors, and sizes. If you're going for a big look with lots of sparkle, I can show you our halo ring settings. Or, if you want a ring that's ready to go, we can look at our perfectly preset styles. Visit your friends. We're in this together.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
BetMGM welcomes you with a special offer on the NBA. Simply place a $10 moneyline wager on any game. If either team hits a three-pointer, you'll win $200 in free bets. Just use the bonus code THEFAN200, that's all one word, capital T, capital F, when you make your first bet. Plus, you'll earn BetMGM rewards points that can be redeemed for online bonuses or converted into comps for rooms, restaurants, and more at over 20 MGM resorts nationwide. BetMGM is proud to be an authorized gaming partner of the NBA. So download the app or go to BetMGM.com and again, use that bonus code, THEFAN200, to win $200 in free bets on your first NBA wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Indiana only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Are you feeling the pinch of higher prices?
Costs may be rising, but with Golden Oak Lending's 2.25% fixed rate, you can lower your mortgage payments.
James Hawkins here, president of Golden Oak. You can offset today's high prices by using the low interest equity in your home to pay off credit cards, make home improvements, or simply put cold hard cash back in your pocket.
It only takes a few minutes to see if you can save hundreds with this low 2.25% rate.
So what are you waiting for? Lock in our low rate while you still can. Start saving money and skip your first 2 mortgage payments.
Call your local loan officers at 317-706-GOLD today and pay nothing out of pocket.
That's right. If we can't close your loan, the appraisal is no charge.
NMLS 114937, 2.25% fixed, 3.336% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit.
Hey, it's JMV for your Central Indiana CarX locations, and my man Joe Childers helping you maintain your winter road readiness. Tires, batteries, brakes, oil and fluids, and wheel and alignment, all very important this time of year to make sure your car, truck, or van is maintaining that winter road readiness. 14 Central Indiana locations to serve you. For over 40 years, they've been doing it. For that location nearest you, it's CarX.com today. Big Red Liquors is celebrating 50 years in business and big sales all year. Kicking off with the February Super Sale, 20% off 3 bottles of wine or spirits, mix and match. Through February, 20% off 3 bottles, wine and spirits, mix and match, only at Big Red Liquors.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
17 minutes before the hour of 8 o'clock. My name is Jake Query. The other voice you hear on this program is that of Kevin Bowen. Mark Dykton is running the board for us, occasionally opines with his quick wit, on what is going to be a balmy Wednesday that Kevin called a Tuesday here in Indianapolis, and there's been a lot to talk about, Kevin. This is probably the longest we've gone into a show without really getting into Colts conversation. I presume we'll do that with Mike Wells coming up in 47 minutes, but we've been talking a lot of basketball from last night.
Yeah, we have been. I was talking earlier, Jake, about the text I got from my buddy saying, you need to be more supportive about IU, blah, 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 this and that. Jake, like the reasons for them to, and again, it's not our job to give them support. The reasons for their fan base to be supportive, like, what have they given you over the past decade and a half, to go down that path? And I think a bigger picture question I have right now is like, if you're a high school basketball player looking into the Indiana as a basketball program, Jake, you know them as what? A middle tier Big Ten team? A team that's like missed the tournament more than they've made it in your lifetime? Like, I think the Indiana brand resonating with high school basketball players right now is a very delicate situation that Mike Woodson has got to get over. And I think, honestly, you saw it last week with how those players treated that Northwestern game of such an important game in the season, and 5 of your guys are breaking curfew the night before that game. I don't think there's a level of respect nationwide. Maybe it's still here in the state, but hell, I mean, there's not a lot of upcoming recruits from the state of Indiana going to Bloomington. That, I think, is a real concern that staff down there has got to realize, that the IU brand with high school age recruits is nowhere near what it used to be.
Okay, here's, Kevin, what is a sobering reality, I think, for a lot of people. And I want people to understand, and I'm going to give them a warning here, okay? Some of this may not be easy to hear. And it's not me in any way, shape, or form trying to bash on Indiana. I grew up, if you talk to anybody from Washington Township schools that was in school when I was, they will tell you I was the most obnoxious, boorish, over-the-top, loyal Indiana basketball rabid zealot on the planet growing up. Indiana basketball is a huge part of my upbringing and my life in general and the culture. I grew up in Bob Knight's, Indiana, okay? That to be said, to piggyback off what you were talking about, Kevin, there are a number of ways I can go with this, but let's begin with this. I tweeted this the other day. If you think about the quintessential Indiana basketball team that people that is the identity of IU, that people hold on to, when you walk into Assembly Hall and you see the banners up above, 1976 all-time college basketball team, 1981 national champions, 1983 Big Ten champions, 1987 national champions, and then even into the great teams of 92 that went to the Final Four and Ted Valentine went nuts. The 93 team, Allen Henderson's knee, probably wins a national title if Allen, who was a great player, is available. No knock on Allen, obviously. Those teams were predominantly built with great players from the state of Indiana that grew up wanting to play for Indiana, an accentuation of a player or two from the Chicagoland area, Quinn Buckner, Darryl Thomas, guys like that, Isaiah Thomas, obviously. And then a player or two or an accentuated piece from a neighboring state that was like a Mr. Basketball level player in those states. Chris Reynolds, Steve Isle, Ricky Callaway, guys like that. That is exactly right now what Matt Painter's Purdue team is. Okay? The model of basketball that people in this state that are my age or older grew up admiring about Indiana basketball, that exact blueprint is being executed by a guy that wanted to play at Indiana because he grew up in this state, but was not offered a scholarship and instead went to play for Purdue and is now running their program. That's exactly what you have in Purdue. It is a sobering thought for Indiana basketball fans that the style, the blueprint, and the execution that they grew up admiring is still being carried on. It's just being carried on by a team in West Lafayette.
I think you saw it last year. Trey Kaufman, freshman, 5-star recruit or very high-level recruit from Southern Indiana. Purdue gets him.
Caleb First?
Right, but what I'm getting at with Kaufman is Southern Indiana.
Correct.
Caleb First of Fort Wayne. Purdue's kind of had the pipeline with Fort Wayne for a long time. The fact that, again, that would not have happened, and you would know this full well, Jake, in the 80s or 90s. I just think that's the reality of where we're at. I know we got a couple calls. What is this, Mark? Boiler Bill? Yep. Boiler Bill wanted to chime in on the conversation. What's up, Bill?
Jake, Kevin, how are you guys this morning?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Oh, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, man. Open up the champagne. Let's pour one out for the crusty red sweater-wearing Indiana basketball faithful, guys. Jockstrap Jimmy, see you in the NIT, son, facing Abilene Christian in the first round. And let's be honest, probably getting beat by 30, boys and girls. Let's hear it for your Indiana losers.
Now, here's the thing, though, Bill. Now, Bill, here's the thing. I hear what you're saying. But Indiana last night, you should have been rooting for them. You should have been rooting for them last night.
Yeah, from a standing standpoint and a future number 1 seed potentially.
I know that sounds crazy that Purdue would ever root for Indiana, but look at Wisconsin.
Isn't their schedule pretty easy down the stretch, Wisconsin?
Wisconsin right there, tied with Purdue in the Big Ten standings. Purdue absolutely should have been rooting last night for Indiana to knock off Wisconsin. The Badgers have remaining Michigan at home, at Minnesota, at Rutgers. They do play Purdue still, and then Nebraska. So Purdue's going to get their shot against them, but that would have been big for Purdue, crazy as it sounds, if Indiana had beaten them. Now, the other thing about Indiana, Kevin, that I think comes into play is this. I think Indiana basketball is a lot like Notre Dame in football. And the fact that a lot of what Indiana was built on and an advantage for Indiana, and I know that Purdue fans, and I totally understand and respect it, that Purdue fans get totally fatigued by the fact that Indiana is the more talked about school program, etc., in Indianapolis and within the media. But as I've always said, if you own a delicatessen, you might love roast beef, you prefer roast beef, and you don't like turkey. But if 7 out of the 10 people that walk into your delicatessen are wanting you to make turkey sandwiches, you better supply more turkey than your personal preference of roast beef. In this state, there are more Indiana fans than Purdue fans. That is a fact. The reason that is not necessarily because Purdue is such an elite level school that its graduates oftentimes go elsewhere, and there are people from elsewhere coming to Purdue that then go back out of state to where they came from. It's not just that fact. It's the fact that for me, for example, as a kid growing up, my parents did not graduate from Indiana, but I grew up a huge Indiana fan because I was a kid and we'd go on vacation and people would ask where I was from, and I'd say, I'm from Indiana, and I had a t-shirt that said Indiana on it. And Indiana, when I watched them play, had their jerseys that said where I was from. That's why I grew up an Indiana fan, and that is true, obviously, of a lot of Indiana fans. So you have this rabid fan base. Kevin, for so long, Indiana, from a recruiting standpoint, was able to unlock the door in a state that is a fertile recruiting ground, speaking of the state of Indiana, and that's where kids wanted to go because, A, you had a coach that was larger than life, and B, because at that time, you knew that that's where your parents were going to be able to watch you play, your friends from high school, if you were playing in Indiana because you were on Channel 4 on Thursdays and Saturdays, and that was it. Now, that recruiting advantage is gone based on the fact that a kid from Indiana, if he is most comfortable going and playing at Arizona or UCLA or Wyoming, he's going to be on TV. I mean, I could have watched Wyoming 20 times this year. You know what I'm saying? So the things that made for an inherent advantage to Indiana, just time and progress in general in life has eroded away those advantages.
And to take the Notre Dame analogy a step further, Jake, Brian Kelly has got it back to at least a level that I think the fan base appreciates. Certainly a level that Bob Davie, Tyrone Willingham, Charlie Weiss didn't sniff on a consistent basis. And that's a challenge for Mike Woodson right now, whether it was the tapering off of the Crean era, and probably Tom doesn't get enough credit for where he got that program to. Obviously some tournament issues will define that era, but then Archie didn't sniff that. That's a challenge because, again, if you are a high school age recruit, and if you look specifically, and this goes to the earlier point, Jake, we were making about, it's not that difficult to make the NCAA tournament. You got 68 teams. You play in a loaded conference with so many opportunities. You can create a non-conference schedule that sets you up beautifully for what an NCAA tournament resume looks like. If you look at Brad Underwood with Illinois, Chris Holtman with Ohio State, they both took over those situations in very similar time frames to when Archie Miller took over Indiana, and they have gotten their programs to levels that, again, right now in Bloomington, the brand is just nowhere near what it was even when I was growing up, let alone when you were growing up either. I do want to sneak in Steve. I know he's been hanging on for quite a while. We can get to some of these other calls here in just a second. Steve, you want to talk about Butler?
Sure, and first of all, Kevin, I'm really looking forward to Monday's show because that's one that's going to really educate and entertain.
That's what we do here.
Yeah. Daily, Steve.
But Jake understands why Monday's show is really going to be special in that category. Hey, my question is, we've seen some really quality basketball from Butler in the last two games. took advantage of Marquette in a trap game for them, and took care of business up in Chicago and DePaul. Do we really see something special between Labas Lukosius? Labas is hello in Lithuanian, by the way, and Harris. As two freshmen on the team, something that Butler can build around going forward.
How do you pronounce his name again? I feel like I've been saying it wrong.
Lukosius, because where I grew up on the south side of Chicago was the largest Lithuanian concentration outside of Lithuania.
Lukosius, right?
And the first name, Simas, am I saying that right?
Not loquacious. He might be a quiet guy, but he speaks loudly on the court. Lukosius.
Lukosius, yes.
By the way, Monday is President's Day, just so you know,
that
Kevin.
was the reference.
Factoids all day long.
I don't know if Butler is necessarily fat. Jaden Taylor, I think, is the other freshman that Steve was referencing there. But still, based off where Butler has been, Jake, to beat a ranked Marquette team, I don't know if at DePaul. Granted, you were down 2 starters. I think that's notable last night. No Bryce Enzi, no Bo Hodges there. But just when you look back on the season, it will be a season of disappointment for Butler. A lot of injuries as well. But this last 2-game stretch has been better. We'll see. At St. John's Friday, home to Providence on Sunday. Providence lost last night at home to Villanova. It was kind of a wacky night in college basketball with some of those games, particularly in the 7 o'clock slate. But nonetheless, nice win for Butler last night. All right, Mike Wells is going to join us in a half hour. We will get to some Colts conversation. We haven't talked a whole lot about the biggest defensive need entering the offseason. We'll hit on that coming up and take some calls as well. It is a Wednesday morning here on Kevin and Query, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Put on your helmet. It's about to get real.
Brett Musburger, what do you think about Gus Bradley as a defensive coordinator?
The reason why we went to the playoffs is because of what Bradley did, not just as an X's and O's guy, but the free agents that he picked up. You have a very fine defensive coordinator. I was hopeful McDaniels might keep him. It didn't take Bradley long to hook on with the Colts, and I think it's a good hire.
Dan Duckage, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Shop the President's Day sale at Mattress Firm and save up to $500. Plus, you can get an adjustable base. That's a $499 value for free with select purchases.
It's CarX Tire and Auto, 14 Central Indiana locations, helping you keep winter road ready. To find that location nearest you, log on, CarX.com today.
This ad for Hellsberg Diamonds has been specifically written for those who'd rather think about hockey than engagement rings. You're at a game and your team scores the winning goal just as time runs out. Now, if that game is your proposal and you're running out of time to find the perfect engagement ring, Hellsberg Diamonds is your winning shot. Our combination of quality diamonds, wide selection, and a price match guarantee means you can be confident in your Hellsberg Diamonds engagement ring buzzer beater. Visit your local Hellsberg store and ask about our amazing financing options or check us out at hellsberg.com.
If any guys are scrambling for a little post-Valentine's Day gift, they are in the saving money or trying to save some money after that area. Well, our friends at Golden Oak Lending can help all of us in that exact area. Costs may be rising, but with Golden Oak Lending's low rates, you could lower your monthly payments here. We're talking 2.25% rate with Golden Oak right now. Home finance has language all its own, but Golden Oak Lending speaks mortgage and loves translating it for customers. For example, refinancing today means you'll save on your mortgage and make no payments until next year. Golden Oak's experienced local loan officers are always local. They know the indie market and make refinancing and buying a breeze, guiding you through every step to ensure you never get lost in jargon or numbers. Getting started couldn't be easier with Golden Oak's free mortgage checkup. It's risk-free. There's no paperwork or credit card required. And check out Zipline. That is their average mortgage saving tool. And on average, customers are saving about $900 per month with Golden Oak. So just call 317-706-GOLD to find out how much you could save each month. Again, that's 317-706-GOLD, or head to goldenOakLending.com right now to see what your home equity can do for you. NMLS 114937, 2.25% fixed, 3.336% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and improved credit.
Gorgeous gaming, stunning streams, unbelievable bandwidth. It's another Lifestyles of Gagillionaires. Meet the AT&T Fiber customers winning at life with hyper-gig speeds. Meet Gagillionaire Terry. While his love of streaming horror movies has him constantly on the edge of his seat, his internet bill won't give him a scare.
Oh, don't go in there. I'm telling you.
Because since Terry upgraded to AT&T Fiber with hyper-gig speeds, he doesn't worry about data caps or equipment fees.
Come on, man. The door's open for a reason.
And best yet, he also doesn't stress about a price increase at 12 months, because with the amazing Gagillionaire lifestyle comes an exquisite sense of tranquility. Most of the time. Live like a Gagillionaire. Get straightforward pricing with AT&T Fiber, internet that upgrades everything. No data caps, no equipment fees, and no price increase at 12 months.
Limited availability in select areas. Visit att.com/hypergig for details.
If you suffer from chronic joint pain, don't assume that steroid shots, pain pills, and surgery are your only options. You can now get real, lasting, life-changing relief from QC Kinetics. I'm Kevin Bowen, and QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in using biologic therapies to repair damaged tissues in your aching joints, and the success rate is staggering. People with knee and back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, they're moving again, enjoying life again with help from QC Kinetics. This advanced, unique treatment protocol uses natural biologic agents, mostly from your own body. These powerful, highly concentrated growth factors are put directly into your affected joint. They go to work to soothe the inflammation and restore damaged tissue, a truly regenerative treatment. It's time to get a second opinion. You can call QC Kinetics now and wake up to life without pain. So call QC Kinetics for your free consultation, 463-235-7160. That's 463-235-7160.
Jake Query here. Recently I returned to college to finish my degree, and I encourage you to join me. Whether you're like me and life simply got in the way, or you never went to college at all, Indiana offers financial assistance for those ready to move forward. If I can do it, I know you can too. If you're looking for a better job or doing it for your family, Indiana has grants to pay for over 150 certificates in high-wage industries. You're sure to find a tuition-free option that fits you. To apply, visit nextleveljobs.org today. Sponsored by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. That's nextleveljobs.org.
It's a big week to save at all 26 Payless Liquors family-owned locations. Oliver Sweet Red, White, and Rosé are only $6.99 a bottle. Bud Light and Coors Light 16-ounce 12-packs are $11.99. Four Roses Yellow Label 750s are just $19.99. Crown and the Purple Bags $22.99. And this Saturday from 9 to 3 at the Southside Flea Market, right next to Payless Liquors East Street location, there's a free COVID vaccination clinic, no appointment needed. More than just your neighborhood liquor store. Open 7 days a week and online at PaylessLiquors.com. Don't pay more, get more, and pay less at Payless Liquors.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2 W298BB, WIBC HD3 W228CX, Indianapolis. The Pacers host the Washington Wizards in their final game before the break. Tonight at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Hour number 2 is underway. Good morning to you, Jake Query, along with Kevin Bowen. It is Kevin and Query here on 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. On a good-looking morning outside, you do not need to go out and warm up your car. That is a beautiful thing, as it's one of those days where you remind yourself if it were September and it was 51, you'd be in a parka. But instead, you're running around in basketball shorts and a tank top. And, Kevin, I looked outside on a very clear day to start out the morning as the sun rises, and I thought, what? I've never noticed this before. There's a drone hovering over Monument Circle, which I know is not uncommon.
Wow.
Because you see, like, drone camera video, but...
You think it's Hard Knocks back, wanting a little bit more footage of the show?
I mean, it's a little bit like Orwellian, right? I mean, like, it's a little bit like, whoa... Is it 2020 or 2022 or 1984? You know what I mean?
A little eerie?
A little bit. I mean,
it's going to be a windy day.
Could
so
be
I don't know
spying
how
on
long
us.
That drone...
Well, then I thought about, this thing's
up there.
massive. Like, I can see it. It's all the way up hovering next to the Salesforce Tower. So I thought, well, if I can see that to my naked eye from here, it's got to be pretty big. What if the battery goes out on that thing?
That's, boy, you don't want to be walking
Could
on
hurt
Monument
somebody,
Circle.
right?
Yeah, that's...
I think they just want to see the new stream setup we got going. They're just trying to get a better bird's eye view.
Right. Should probably open up all of the curtains here to make sure they can get a good shot of us in studio. Mike Wells, by the way, is going to join us in less than a half hour. Jake, we've talked a whole lot about the quarterback need for the Colts this offseason. The biggest defensive need, and certainly you saw it Sunday night, pass rush. I think it remains a need. Chris Ballard's acknowledged, much more so than wide receiver, that is a need the Colts need to address. Where I would kind of disagree with Ballard on this, and I'm curious your thoughts. Ballard stresses the need for more, I guess just more bodies. To me, it's almost a quantity over quality approach. He's a big believer in that you win with pass rush and depth and waves, and by the fourth quarter, 8, 9 guys rotating in, they're able to kind of wear down an offensive line, and that's how you win. I would rather have kind of an upper echelon quality at the top of a 6-man rotation or something like that with the pass rush. Where do you stand on the approach the Colts should have pass rush wise this offseason?
Clearly, you've got to be able to get to the quarterback, and I realize that like athletes have changed, Kevin. Dwight Freeney was undersized as an end, right? But he had that spin move that was unbelievable. Robert Mathis, obviously kind of the same thing. Robert Mathis had straight line speed right off the burst that was like, whoa, and there wasn't much you could do about it. Athletes, just like at the wide receiver or in basketball. I mean, in basketball, 10 years ago, the thought of 6'9" guys bringing the ball up the floor and going coast to coast 6'10", I mean, that was it wasn't unheard of 10 years ago, but it was rare. Now it's, all 6, 7, 8 guys that are rotating through on an NBA team. In the NFL, and Aaron Donald, a guy that is just, and I realize we're talking about like freak level. I mean, they don't grow on trees. But I think you need to start going less worrying about like numbers and scheme and more, how do we just find an elite? We need speed. When I say we, I don't mean the Colts. I just mean in general.
Yeah, you're putting yourself in Ballard's shoes.
Right. Like, we need speed. I'm less worried about coming up with the right scheme and getting size and bulk in the middle. DeForest Buckner's a wonderful player, but even DeForest Buckner, he's probably the one guy that somewhat falls into what I'm talking about. But I just think that they need to athleticize more. Does that make sense?
I think they need individual dudes.
Correct.
We don't need to draw up this stunt or anything like that. This dude just wins. He wins a one-on-one matchup. And Jake, I think the other point to make too here is this. Gus Bradley's your defensive coordinator here. I'm pretty sure this is right. The Raiders blitzed the least of any team in the NFL last year with Gus Bradley as their defensive coordinator. Gus Bradley wants to rush 4. He wants to let those individual guys do their thing up front. So if that's going to be the case again here in Indy, to me, it's high-end quality over quantity. I understand the schedules increase by a game and, there's attrition at every position group, but you have got to just have some dogs that can go individually win for you because you've tried to play in waves and you can't close out games.
Here's the thing. Chris Ballard. I was thinking about this the other day, Kevin. I might have mentioned it on the air. Admittedly, and folks, I hope that you have some patience or understanding with this. Sometimes it is hard for me to remember what I've talked about on the air and what I've talked about like on the phone with Mike Byron. You know what I mean? So I apologize if I'm repeating myself.
Is Mike your best friend? I feel like you talk about Mike a lot.
He's my only friend.
Oh, what about us? What about me? What about Mark?
No.
Yesterday, you asked me what my phone number was. I got a little rattled there. I was like, wait, you don't have it?
I just have it in my phone. I've got you into my phone. It just says KV.
Kevin, co-host.
How many more text messages did you get yesterday?
Got a lot.
It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it is fun. In all honesty, I was very gracious to receive all that.
523. This is my number. 523-9288. It's a 317, obviously. Right. 523-9288. I like the interaction. But here's my thing, Kevin. Yeah, Byron is one of my best friends. I'm very fortunate to have a wide group of great people in my life. We're in what year now for Chris Ballard?
This will be year 6.
Okay. In year 6, the thing that is a challenge for the Colts when I look at it is, do we know for certain that this is the right trajectory? If you're in year 6 and you've won a playoff game, you have a general manager that I know is considered to be the boy wonder. But why is it? I think I know the answer to this. But why is it that if you're year 6 into a general manager, and I know that Andrew Luck retired and pulled the rug out from underneath him. I get it. But you're in year 6 and you have a playoff win. You have a coach that was your second choice because the coach that you went out and hired turned around at the last minute and stood you up at the altar. Okay, maybe that happens. Now you have a quarterback, quite possibly next year, that's going to be quarterbacking this team that was your second choice because the first one that you decided to go out and get and pursue and trade for didn't stand you up at the altar, but rather just had sweated way too much and totally fumbled their vows.
Leg at the altar.
Yeah, totally fumbled his vows, right? So now you possibly are going to be having a season where the quarterback was not the first choice of the general manager, the coach was not the first choice of the general manager, and the general manager has a roster that's won him a playoff game in 6 years, whereas his predecessor was run out of town on a pine rail after going to an AFC championship game. Now, what is the difference from A to B?
I think the difference is the poor drafting of Ryan Grigson created a foundation that Jim Irsay was extremely worried about, and then the disconnect became, all right, somebody's got to go, Grigson or Pagano, and it became Grigson.
No, totally fair. And so
I guess I don't want to turn it into a Grigson-Ballard debate, but just to give a little context there, I think that's why you saw the tenure of Ryan Grigson.
But what I'm saying is it
horrific drafting?
Is it time to start questioning some of the decisions and the roster build of the Colts?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've done that. I would like to hope that we've done that. And have done that for years now. I mentioned it on my podcast I was doing yesterday. You can go back to that Kansas City Super Bowl, Jake, and you look at when Kansas City won it all, and those 4 or 5 positions that stand above the rest. And it specifically pass rush. Like Alex says, how long are we going to keep chasing pass rush? It's like quarterback. As long as we chase those 2 positions and don't address others, why can't we let Kwity Paye and Dayo Adengbo develop? That's an element of it, but it's pass rush. It's the most important position on the football field, not named quarterback. You have to keep on swinging.
Right.
You don't just stop. I mean, Jake, since Robert Mathis tore his Achilles, the Colts have not had a pass rusher.
Right.
And that was, nearly a decade ago.
That's what I mean. Like, how do you...
You have to continue. You look at the Cincinnati defensive line, Trey Hendrickson, second play of the game, sack on Sunday night. He was a free agent this past year. There was an opportunity in free agency to spend, probably overspend, but welcome to free agency at a critical position. I think if you're a Colts fan and you hear that Chris Ballard acknowledged that defensive line affecting the quarterback, that is a need, is a good thing for a Colts fan. You like that you hear that from your GM, but I don't like what appears to be his plan of attack of quantity over quality. Jake, you don't just need 8 or 9 guys that none of them can impact the passing game like you wanted to, but by the time depth is going to wear you down. You've tried that route. It's time to go out, spend top dollar. And I think free agency is the key there. I know this draft class is supposedly pretty deep, but again, the development of Paye and Adengbo you have, but I think you need some proven rushers to come out of free agency.
I just think I'm going to go back to what I've said a million times, and I thought it when I was watching the Super Bowl. Okay, I'm not, and I get it. People were like, it's a copycat league, and you don't want to have to fall victim to just being a copycat. I get that, right? However, I look at, and yeah, the Colts were the talk of the league in October, November. That's awesome. But guess what? October, November lead to December. I want to be the talk of the league if I'm a team in February, because that leads to March, April, May, June, and that means that they're looking up to you. The Colts, to me, when I watched Cincinnati and I'm seeing Chase and Higgins and Burrow throwing the ball to them, and even Joe Mixon, and I watched the Rams and I'm seeing Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham before he got hurt, and I watch Kansas City and I see, Tyreek on a sweep or whatever it might be, and I watch I watch Josh Allen on a quarterback draw, juking out linebackers and then throwing the ball, deep to Diggs. I watch all those things and I think to myself, the NFL is having itself a postseason party and everybody's driving their Ferrari to it, and Chris Ballard just pulled up in a Ford F-150. It's a nice car, nice vehicle, but can it hang with those Ferraris and Lamborghinis? And I just feel like the Colts are building themselves, and I'll give Chris Ballard credit to sticking true to what he believes in, but it feels to me like they are being built in an archaic fashion that might be really well constructed in the manner in which it's designed to be built. But unfortunately, even if it's the best, like grinded out 4 yards and a cloud of dust football team in the league, that ain't going to cut it.
Well, I don't think you can give him credit if it teeters on stubbornness.
Correct.
Not willing to adjust.
Here's what I think.
Not willing to alter your blueprint, make changes, look around the rest of the NFL and see, oh my gosh, wow, those other positions, those seem really, really important. We should probably invest a little bit more in those.
I'm going to go way Freudian, Kevin, and this is going to make you uncomfortable, okay? I'm going to go way Freudian on this and go one step beyond it. This is just me talking. I personally feel like if Chris Ballard was 35 pounds overweight, balding, and didn't have like a cool 5 o'clock shadow and a southern drawl, he would get far more criticism. But because he looks buttoned down, he's a nice looking guy, he speaks very smoothly, he speaks very confidently, he's got pretty eyes. I think people get enamored by the fact that he looks like he is completely cool and under control. And therefore, he gets more wiggle room than a lot of people. And I think to an extent, at no fault of his, he has snowed for more benefit of the doubt than at this point, I think, in year 6, he should be getting.
I think the fan base has really changed their tone with Ballard. I don't think we're anywhere near the same sort of...
He was boy wonder 2 years ago, right?
Build the statue next to Peyton Manning outside of Lucas Oil. I don't think we're there at all, really. And I think people have realized the issues in the roster building. Robert Mathis mentioned this. The Colts do have good pass rushers. Got to teach them, then turn them loose. Are you of the thinking that you have the right guys in your building and you haven't developed them? Or are you of the thinking that the personnel, because again, Ballard has drafted a whole lot of pass rushers.
I love Robert Mathis. I did a radio show with Robert Mathis. I think the world of him, in a lot of ways, and as a player for certain. That sounds to me like a guy that is saying, you have people there, but you need someone to coach them, and I'm not doing anything. Quite frankly.
Yeah, I know. I think there's a lot of validity to that.
I also respect his opinion of assessing what works in the league, and he would know that better than I. And I do think that Kwity Paye, people forget this, Kevin. There were people after Reggie Wayne's rookie year that were like, why did they draft this guy? He hasn't done anything. Well, later we find out his ankle was bothering him. It took him a while to get going. And then once he did, turn it loose, right? Kwity Paye and Dio, we very well may 3 years from now be sitting here, as if we're doing the show still. We may be saying on the air, do you remember their rookie year when we were questioning this? Are you kidding me? The Doomsday Brothers or whatever they're going to be called at that point. That's entirely possible that those guys do have it in them, and it's just a matter of the fact that they are. But then again, Aaron Donald didn't take a while to get uncorked, right? I mean, certain players, you knew right away what you had.
Yeah, I mean, for being the 21st overall pick, I would have liked a few more disruptive plays from Kwity Paye. The tackle for loss numbers, the quarterback hit numbers weren't at the level that I would have liked to have seen. When you talk about kind of that individual dog that we were, mentioning earlier in the segment, there are a couple sacks, sure. I thought it was mostly kind of like effort sacks and not just that straight, just speed athleticism where he is striking a fear into an opposing offensive tackle. Again, maybe he'll grow moving forward, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that in year one from him. But that need for me this offseason has got to be high-end quality over the numbers game that it sounds like Chris Ballard would like to play up front. All right, Mike Wells is going to join us in 10 minutes. Let's hit a Big O Tires SportsCenter update.
The SportsCenter update on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan is presented by Big O Tires, the team you trust.
By the way, I'd like to say good morning to Colin from Colorado, who is listening to us this morning.
Colin, what a great state to live in.
What is it, like 5 o'clock in the morning in Colorado? Colin, go back to bed, man. It's actually 6:18.
6:18 out there.
Last night, the Pacers were put to bed by Giannis Antetokounmpo. He had 50 points. That's correct, 50. 14 boards. He took just 21 field goal attempts to get to 50 points. That is the fourth most efficient effort in the history of the NBA. Buddy Hield did have 36 for Indiana, but the Pacers lose 128-119. They have the Wiz tonight. Kevin, I guess it's a moral victory, right?
Yeah, something like that. They were competitive, compared to past matchups against them. Afterwards, Rick Carlisle had this to say about what Tyrese Haliburton has shown in his early tenure here at the Pacers.
I mean, he's a wonderful young man. He's a tremendous player who gets better every week, and he just has such a pulse on what's going on with his teammates. The way he plays, he never makes it about him. You know, it's all about keeping energy in the ball, keeping it moving. And so, you know, this is the guy that, you know, we felt we were trading for, and he's obviously proven to be all of those things.
3 games in, Jake, Haliburton averaging 20 points, 10 assists, shooting over 50% from 3. I was going back and forth with Tony East last night, and we'll get more into Haliburton at 9 o'clock. C.J. Moore, who wrote a great feature on him for The Athletic, is going to join us to get more kind of in Haliburton and exactly who he is, particularly off the floor. But for a guy that is on pace to go over 40% again from 3 this year, it is pretty rare company in the NBA to start a career, shoot over 50-some threes, and be over 40% in each of those first 2 seasons. So I think the early returns on your new guys, you like what you've seen so far.
By the way, really good point here on Twitter from somebody talking about the pass rush. Jerry Hughes was a bust here. Where is he now? Exactly. I mean, sometimes it takes guys a while to get going.
And forever Jerry Hughes, there's a Bjorn Werner. You know, there are guys that
was a...
You have guys that, pan out in other spots.
Now, they did. You saw Bjorn Werner in London, right?
Yeah, I saw him in London, and you got to think he's going to be at some of those, Munich, and where else are they playing games in Germany?
Is it Frankfurt?
Frankfurt, that sounds right.
Wasn't Oliver Luck part of the Frankfurt Galaxy, or was that just the...
I think he started the World League. And,
that's right.
Yeah, I don't know if they were located there, but yes, pass rushers, it can take time, certainly, but you've got other case studies, and we see them right here in Indy with some of them, of guys that just don't pan out.
Speaking of the World League, last night it was not an all-world selection of shot for Parker Stewart late in the game as Indiana loses 74-69 to Wisconsin. The Hoosiers completely anemic in their outside shooting and very, I thought, questionable shot selection down the stretch. So Indiana now finds themselves under 500 in the Big Ten, Kevin. And I'm telling you what, man, they can feel the condensation behind them because that bubble is right there at their back.
It is. Here was Mike Woodson last night on that final possession with Parker Stewart shucking up a 3, thinking there was, I guess, a couple seconds left.
Thought the play that I drew up at the end was awful. You know, they just didn't react off of one another, and they froze on the play. So, I mean, I have to take the blame for that.
There's a lot of things lately that Mike Woodson has said he needs to take the blame for.
Yeah, he uses the phrase a lot, we're still learning how to win. I'm thinking to myself, well, Mike, you did bring in transfers from Northwestern and Pittsburgh and South Florida. I don't think those are really winning basketball programs, and I think you see that late in games. Winning plays are a major issue. Something, again, big picture we haven't talked a lot about, Jake. Like, the reality is this could be Trayce Jackson-Davis and Race Thompson. That could be the final month of them in an Indiana uniform. 2 guys that have been your most consistent / best players this season. I mean, what are you going to look like next year?
Yeah, well, they've got obviously an elite level recruit coming in, but
I mean, losing.
We've said that a million times, right?
Like, shouldn't you? It's kind of like the Colts with Jonathan Taylor. I've always said this about Carson Wentz in the passing game should have been more efficient because you have all the attention to Jonathan Taylor. All the attention that has to go to Trayce Jackson-Davis, you should be getting more wide open shots.
Spare me the 1,000 retweeted TikTok video of some guy working out in a gym dunking on a 5'10 student manager and like, Hoosiers, here we go with your candy striped pants and your cigar smoking, celebrating they're coming to Indiana if they go out and go 0 for 5 against Wisconsin, right?
You asked Jeff Rabjohns yesterday if Trayce Jackson-Davis was dealing with an injury. He mentioned after the game he didn't practice the last couple of days with a little bit of a nagging foot issue. Seemed to work the rest. 30 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Really shot it well from the foul line. That was a first-team All-American type of performance from Trayce Jackson-Davis. Unfortunately, IU decided to go with Xavier Johnson and Trey Galloway throwing up brick after brick in the closing minutes and could not get their All-American the ball.
Trayce Jackson-Davis is probably at this point not a first-round pick. However, his draft status is not going to get any higher this time of year from now, quite frankly. So if he's thinking about coming out, it's not going to do him any service to come back, unfortunately.
Well, and this might be a bit harsh, Jake, but like, does Trayce Jackson-Davis and Race Thompson enjoy playing for the guys that they're playing with right now?
I don't think it's harsh. Yeah, that's fair.
A week ago, last night, 5 guys breaking curfew in such a critical game. Like, Race Thompson almost transferred.
Parker Stewart got hit in the mouth last night, and that affected his decision making the rest of the game. Quite frankly, that's what it came down to, is he did not show the maturity or the poise. Parker Stewart already has a history of bad decision-making. Last night, down the stretch, Parker Stewart's boneheaded decision-making cost Indiana the chance to win a game.
We get more into the bubble watch here in the next couple of days. IU will not play until Monday. That Ohio State game in Columbus has been pushed to Monday. Basically, right now, I think IU is still in the tournament, but if you project out and looking down the stretch, I still think they need to find one more quality win, and it's difficult to look at that schedule. It's a team that's created no margin for error, and they're not good enough, in my opinion, to create that with a month to go in this season. Shout out to the Butler Bulldogs. They win at DePaul last night. Simos Lukosius, the freshman from Lithuania, banked in a three from the right wing as time was dwindling late in that game. He made a couple big plays.
His cousin, Simo Gregarious, is a very good player, too.
I was flipping back and forth during some commercials of the Indiana game. He made several plays late in that game. And a good win for Butler, considering they didn't have Bryce Enzi or Bo Hodges, two guys that got banged up in their win over Marquette. So that's 2 in a row for Butler. They've got at St. John's Friday, and then they will host Providence Sunday afternoon. That should be a good environment over there at Hinkle.
For Butler, want so badly to see it, just to be able to recapture what they've done. I think everybody in town feels that way. Somebody did ask earlier, who's the last Butler coach to be fired? I believe it was Joe Sexton in 1989.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
The only one, right, in program history?
Brandon Miller, you could make the argument. Brandon Miller, they knew that wasn't going to work, and so they made a change. I don't know that he was fired, technically speaking. So Joe
Not
Sexton,
for a win-loss record.
Answer that question.
Standpoint there. And a final shout-out to Nick Gepper, the Lawrenceburg, Indiana native. He wins silver last night in the slope style of the Winter Olympics. He is the first Hoosier to medal in 3 Olympics since the iconic, and this is very iconic, I mean this all seriousness, Jake. You said Ray, and we're going with Yuri? E-W-R-Y? Yuri? The most gold medals in Summer Olympics history behind Michael Phelps?
Correct. He had the most
individual golds.
Correct. He had a 108-year record before Michael Phelps surpassed him.
Jeez. And he was from Lafayette?
Correct. Died in 1937 at the age of 63.
04 through 12, so 3 Olympic Games there. Nick Gepper does it from a winner standpoint as he takes home the silver last night. All right, we come back on Kevin and Corey. Mike Wells from ESPN.com. We'll cover a lot with Wells. He will join us next here. You're listening on a Wednesday morning, a balmy Wednesday morning here in February.
True Car Wash's new ceramic fast wax offers better protection and even more shine.
Sign up for the Ultimate Unlimited washes to wash as much as you want and keep your vehicle shining.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly. At thehomeloanexpert.com, we have loans for almost everyone. Get pre-approved today at thehomeloanexpert.com. NMLS number 1326241.
SportsCenter updates on the Fan are brought to you by Big O Tires. Stop by your locally owned and operated Big O Tires and get a $70 rewards card upon purchase of select sets of Michelin tires. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Hi, this is Ted Bishop, PGA General Manager at the Legends Golf Club in Franklin. This year, we are celebrating our 30th anniversary of being in business, and I want to personally invite you to become a member at our course, which was selected as the 2021 Indiana Golf Course of the Year. We are offering a limited number of 2-year Monday through Friday memberships starting at $199 a year. Yep, you heard it right, only $199 a year, and you can upgrade to a 7-day membership for only $50 per year more. If you ride, you just pay for the golf cart, and if you walk, there's no additional charge. These memberships will expire on December 31 of 2023. Legends has 27 Fazio Design Championship holes. Our regular players will tell you that we are known for great playing conditions and a friendly staff. Join the Legends Golf Club today. Don't delay, because limited spots are available. Call 317-736-8186 or buy online at thelegendsgolfclub.com. And I'll see you on the first tee.
Hey, CMV and fellas, need an annual health exam for work, or you just want to start the year prioritizing your health? I recommend Low T Center to get your complete health assessment where they check all your levels. It's typically completely covered by most health insurance, and if you don't have insurance, it's less than $100 to get full labs and an office visit with their provider. Low T Center specializes in men's health, making it quick and easy, even verifying your insurance. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your visit online now. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
Jewelry is the greatest gift for the moments you're celebrating. With the largest selection in town, at Shane Company you'll always find meaningful and high-quality gifts in every price range. For a wedding anniversary, I recommend an amazing diamond pendant or an elegant sapphire ring for her right hand. All of our diamonds and sapphires are natural and cut to maximize their beauty. Is there a new baby in the family? Treat Mom to a necklace made with 14-karat Italian gold and engraved with the baby's initials. For an upcoming birthday, or if you just want to make someone's day, consider something colorful. We have pendants, earrings, bracelets, and rings made with vibrant sapphires and popular gemstones like morganite and London blue topaz. A gift of fine jewelry from Shane Company will be treasured for a lifetime. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and shaneco.com.
Feeling the pinch of higher prices?
Golden Oak Lending can save you money with their low 2.25% rate.
James Hawkins here, president of Golden Oak. Offset high prices with lower monthly payments or turn your home equity into cash.
Lock in this low rate while you can. Call 317-706-GOLD today.
Golden Oak Lending cured my blues.
NMLS 114937. 2.25% fixed. 3.336% APR. FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit.
The Ride with JMV.
Former NFL wide receiver and ESPN analyst Keyshawn Johnson. Hey, Keyshawn, what do you think the ceiling is on Michael Pittman Jr. of the Colts?
I think he's a Pro Bowl caliber, headed in the Pro Bowl caliber way. I'd like to see him be a little more aggressive at times, a little more athletic than what I've seen. And next time I talk to him, I'm going to let him know those things. He could be a Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver for them, but he's young. He needs to speed the game up.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Let's head to the Payless Liquors hotline. Sounds like fresh off throwing back 3 or 4 donuts on this Wednesday morning. Mike Wells joins us. Wells, colleague Lee Arnold saying that you were on the donut train this morning.
Nah, see that's the problem with those who are not truly in the media, man. There's no donuts this morning. There were donuts yesterday morning, not this morning though. So we can't let the story get mixed up, Lee.
Is it Hilligoss? Am I saying that right?
What'd you say? Hilligoss, man, Hilligoss.
Is that the place in Brownsburg?
That is the place in Brownsburg, and you know what? Next time we have something at the facility, I'm going to bring the group some donuts, KB. You know, some people are a little cleaner than others in the media group, so you better put your hand in first and get one of the first donuts, okay?
Yeah, I can see the butt cracks from here over on West 56th Street. Mike Wells, ESPN.com, is with us. Wells, let's begin with your colleague Chris Mortensen, that report on Sunday, NFL Countdown, saying things look bleak. That Carson Wentz will probably be traded or released a couple days into the new league year. You make anything of like a national voice like Mortensen, who I think is really plugged into the Colts organization, at the top of the Colts organization, you make anything of that?
I think it just pushes it further. I think ever since Frank Reich, and then neither Frank Reich or Chris Ballard would commit to Carson Wentz for next season, I think that's when, you know, there were already little breadcrumbs falling as Wentz continued to struggle, especially after that Jacksonville game. But when those two came out, and then when Chris said, "Oh, I'm not going to talk about any particular player," I can guarantee you this: we can all agree on this. As you said, will Jonathan Taylor be on the roster in 2022, Chris? He would have said yes. So the fact that he wouldn't commit to Wentz, I think, you know, said something. And then, you know, like you said, Mortensen very plugged in his organization. It took it a step further, you know, and you know, we've talked about this in our group text and everything. My question is, if you're going to move on from Carson Wentz, who the heck are you going to get?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, oh, it's because Wentz is that good, because if he was that good, they wouldn't be talking about trying to get a new quarterback. It's just based off how the quarterback landscape looks right now, and when you don't have a first-round pick.
Would you take Wentz to the field as the starting QB week 1?
KB, hey, ever since we walked out of that team practice facility after the Ballard press conference, I said I believe Carson Wentz will be the starting quarterback next season.
I know you've been, I think, on a different level or like the different side of that argument than
I'm with Mike though. There's no plan B. Chris Ballard to me gets criticized for the fact that there was zero backup idea or plan in case this blew up. And anybody that doesn't think that there was the possibility with the fragility, emotionally speaking, of Carson Wentz that it could blow up, what were they watching?
So Wells, your answer would be because there's no realistic other option. That is why you say it'll still be Wentz.
Exactly. I don't want people to be like, oh, my God, Mike Wells thinks Wentz is that good. No, I think the Colts should move on from Carson Wentz. I think we've seen the type of player he is. The fact that Frank Reich couldn't fix him. People are screaming, well, he had 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. I just want to say, did you truly watch a game? When did you see Carson Wentz dominate and take over a game like a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow? Carson Wentz had one lights-out series, and that was on Christmas night with the pass to T.Y. on the sideline and then the touchdown pass against the Cardinals. Beyond that, he didn't do anything. So the stats don't really tell the story to me in Carson Wentz. I think they should move on. I just think, like Jake also alluded to, I don't see what's out there and what you could potentially get for him.
And, Mike, here's the thing, and this is where the Colts are in a real pickle, and I want, Mike Wells, your opinion on this as to whether or not you think there's truth to it. This is a different situation than if Carson Wentz had gone to Denver or Minnesota and after a year they were looking to move him, because Carson Wentz and other teams, I would think, will look at it and say, wait a minute, this is a guy that ran into a bit of a curveball late in his time in Philadelphia, but he was reunited with his quarterback whisperer. He was reunited with his father-like figure that was going to awaken the greatness within him. And that guy couldn't get it out of him. So why in the hell should we take a chance on him? And that diminishes his trade value coming out of Indianapolis more so than it would have been diminished elsewhere. Any accuracy to that?
Jake, were you creeping in my windows this morning, man? Because we have a roundtable coming up on all the quarterbacks that potentially can be traded this offseason, and I answered my question this morning, and I said exactly that. And I phrased it as, if I'm another team, I'm asking myself if Frank Reich, who was with Wentz during the peak of his career, cannot get Carson Wentz correct, what makes me think we can do it?
Right.
So I am in 100%. Hold on real quick. Hey, have a good day at school. All right, stay out of trouble. Love you, man. All right. I am in 100% agreement.
You dropping Kiefer up for you?
Well, I mean, Kiefer doesn't look like he is still about 15 years old.
All right, Zach, have a good class in Bloomington. Teach well.
Yeah. Sporting Abercrombie Fitch and wearing Banana Republic outfits all the time. But, I'm asking myself, if I'm a general manager, if Frank Reich can't get him right, who truly can get Carson Wentz correct? So that's why I'm not trying to acquire him. I can't imagine being that general manager walking into my owner's office and saying, hey, yes, sir, let's go get Carson Wentz.
Do you think that because of this, Chris Ballard, my other gut is this, Mike, and that is that Jim Irsay may not have been completely sold on Wentz, but basically said to Ballard and Reich at the beginning of last season, look, guys, I trust your ability to think you can get it out of him, but this better work out. This better work out, because if it doesn't, there's going to be questions to be answered. And as a result of that, Ballard and Reich, and in particular Ballard, should be feeling some heat from above. Is he?
This is where I don't agree with you on this one, Jake. I think there's solely one person who deserves the most heat, and that's Frank Reich. I think, Jim Irsay was probably a little hesitant because Irsay he believes he wants to win multiple Super Bowls. I think Ballard was lukewarm, and Frank Reich, we've all heard Frank Reich talk. He could put on a hell of a sales pitch on things. He sold those two that Carson is that guy. He says, hey, I had Andrew Luck be comeback player of the year. Jacoby Brissett had his highest completion percentage in his career. Phillip Rivers had his second highest completion percentage in his career. I can get Carson Wentz, who looked like that MVP candidate in 2017, once again, if we can get him. So if they move on, this will arguably go down into one of the worst trades in NFL history, and the person who's going to spearhead the most embarrassment is going to be Frank Reich.
It's Mike Wells from ESPN.com. He's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Wells, if the Cincinnati Bengals called you and you were Chris Ballard and said, all right, our first-round pick for Quentin Nelson, do you think Chris Ballard would say yes to that?
That's a late first-round pick.
Yeah, 31.
No, No, I think Ballard would say no.
Would you say yes?
No. You give me a top 15 pick, I'm saying yes. And I'm not saying because obviously we know Quentin Nelson's a hell of a player. Well, Quentin Nelson's body's also breaking down, so I'm hoping I can have them fall for the banana in the tailpipe and think that Quentin Nelson is going to play for the next 10 or 15 years.
Okay, speaking of tailpipes,
he did have three surgeries in the last year. I think that's another element to Nelson in this long-term debate that we probably should acknowledge as well. I know he played through a lot, but 3 surgeries in a year is no joke.
Yeah, his body's breaking down. But what were you going to ask, Jake?
Well, I had said this earlier. When I watched Kansas City and Cincinnati and the Rams and the Bills, for that matter, I see teams that are basketball on grass, and it's athleticism and it's stretching the field, and it's quick movement. And I'm like, okay, these are Ferraris and Lamborghinis. And then, as I'd said earlier, I feel like the Colts are still trying to build on a really good Ford F-150, which is a darn good vehicle, but it ain't a Lamborghini. Can Chris Ballard and the Colts build a roster that can win with a more in-the-trenches style? Can they win by not bucking the trend they've set for themselves and not becoming the copycat of everybody else and instead staying to a blueprint that feels more 1995 than 2022?
That approach has gotten Chris Ballard one playoff victory in 5 years. So that's how I look at it. He's gotten one playoff victory in 5 years. You look at let's look at Cincinnati. They had multiple receivers who could do things. I mean, T. Higgins was the best receiver on the field for Cincinnati in the Super Bowl. And this is no knock on Jamar Chase because we know he's a hell of a receiver. Joe Mixon mixes in the run and the pass. I will take Jonathan Taylor over Joe Mixon. But the skill position players, they are fast, big, athletic. Where can you say that on the Colts? You can't say that. You look at the Rams. Odell Beckham Jr. was on his way to a 100-yard receiving game before he tore his ACL. Cooper Kupp did it all season long. Nobody close to Cooper Kupp at wide receiver for the Colts. We know what Kansas City has. We know what Josh Allen himself makes everybody else better in Buffalo. So I think the answer is at some point you got to stop being stubborn and want to change because all those teams that I mentioned, they're not going anywhere anytime soon, especially in the AFC.
Mike Wells, who covers the Colts right now for ESPN.com, plenty of history covering the Pacers, is with us here on Kevin and Query. And Wells, Pacers-wise, I sense excitement and intrigue from the fan base for the first time in quite some time. You think there should be reason for optimism given what they did at the trade deadline?
Yeah, optimism for a high draft pick. Yeah, that's what they need. No, I'm not flipping the tree now. I can't sit there and say okay because they acquired a couple players. They got rid of the Sabonis. Obviously, we know that got rid of LeVert, a year after getting him.
You're not a Haliburton guy?
Turner. Oh, no, he's nice. But, unless you're, KD or LeBron, you can't have one player carry a franchise like that. I'm still not believing it. They've got so much work to do. I give Pritchard credit for not sitting on his hand saying, okay, let's run this back again, because I know you drove the bus on saying they didn't need to run it back again this year. You drove that bus, KB. So now they got to keep going and continue to add more pieces before I say, okay, I've watched maybe a few minutes since the trade. That's all I've done. So I'm not into the believer, and I cannot believe we're not going to talk about the Hoosiers, man. I mean, those guys couldn't hit the side of a barn last night.
Dude, well, I swear, it looked like you trying to hit punch shots out of the woods. Some of those shots they were throwing up at the backboard last night. Some nice limestone in Bloomington with those shots.
Yeah, Galloway and then what's the other zero with Johnson? I mean, they had open looks and just couldn't hit the rim.
Mike.
I had a better chance of hitting the fairway with my driver than those guys making a three-pointer last
Part
night.
of college, Mike.
Let's not get too crazy.
Part of college is, for anybody, part of college is bad decision-making, right? Learning off bad decisions. Parker Stewart last night made like 7 of them in the last minute, including a shot. I don't know what that – part of it, Mike, I hate to say this, Parker Stewart got hit in the mouth and then basically let that affect his play. And late in the game with 19 seconds left, Indiana's got a shot to try to tie it. And he takes a triple guarded 3 with 10 seconds still left on the clock. At some point, you've got to look at the sidelines and say, who's designing this coming out of the timeout, and is there culpability above the players themselves on what's going on? At some point.
Hey, first of all, he got mad because old boy the Wisconsin guard was trying to go ahead. It's like they were playing. They had spurts of trying to play one-on-one basketball. After he got into it, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, because the Wisconsin guard took some bad shots too. So and I was like, wow. And by the way, what is it, Johnny Davis from Wisconsin? He is nice. His game is smooth, man.
And I love the fact high school quarterback, a little bit of Jalen Suggs in him there. Boy, what do you have, the final 13 of the game for Wisconsin?
Exactly. And, I feel bad for Trace because, he did what he could. He was, what did he finish at, 28 or something?
Yeah, he had a good night.
But, when your guards can't hit an outside shot when teams are collapsing in on you, that says a lot. So I'll tell you now, if I'm a Big Ten coach the rest of the conference season, I'm like, we're going to collapse in on Trace, and we're going to let those boys continue to shoot bricks and hopefully build enough bricks so they can build a new assembly hall down there.
Mike, people that think Trace Jackson Davis is I've heard people that are like, he's going to have to come out this year so he can go to the lottery. I'm like, Trace Jackson Davis has played himself out of the first round, period, because he's a wonderful college
of the
player.
NBA?
Yeah, he's a wonderful college player, but he is not an NBA player. Agree or disagree?
I don't think so you don't think he's a first-round pick?
No, I think at this point he's...
He did show a little right hand last night a couple times, but no.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't take him in the first round.
Hey, KB, you said a little right hand, and he's in, his third year?
Right.
Come on. You should have developed that a long time ago. I would say if I'm Trace, I'm going back one more year, and I'm trusting Mike Woodson to improve my draft stock. That's what I'm doing, because we've all seen this over the years, especially you, Jake.
Wasn't that the plan for this year?
Well, hey, clearly he has more work to do. Guys who think they're going to be a lottery pick or even taken in the first round where they get the guaranteed contract are sit there at home eating chicken wings trying to hold back their tears because they're in the second round with a non-guaranteed contract.
Mike, speaking of draft capital, draft status, draft stock, the Pacers have it. Back to that real quick. The Pacers do have, 2 first-rounders upcoming. One of them we know is going to be, at the worst, a top 8 pick. To me, this is going to be a fascinating offseason because Kevin Pritchard has traded well over the course of his career, and he is not a terrible drafter, but he is not, there have been questionable selections that have not panned out for him. Is this the most critical upcoming draft year in the tenure of Kevin Pritchard?
I'm surprised Kevin did not just cut you off and say 2 letters, TJ. I'm surprised he did not interrupt you and say TJ in reference to TJ Leaf and talking about Kevin Pritchard. Listen, if I'm I was about to say Chris Ballard, but for Kevin Pritchard and Chad Buchanan, you got to think, okay, how much longer is Herb Simon going to be patient and keep these two together? So, yeah, it is a critical draft for them. They can't screw it up because you think about all the guys he's traded away, and they just have not been able to do anything. So, yeah, it's got to be now or never. The fact that Lance, and I'm going to continue to harp on this, the fact that Lance Stevenson for the past month or 6 weeks has been the most exciting Pacer on the roster says a lot. He's in his 3rd stint with the team. There's no way in hell Lance should be the reason people want to watch the Pacers now.
Wells, I know you've got a range session on probably the outdoor range at Eagle Creek around 10 a.m., so we'll let you go. Thank you for hopping on with us, and enjoy hitting balls today.
Quit telling lies, KB. Quit telling lies.
50 degrees, man. and you're not going to hit off the grass?
I will tell you that I had some friends said, "Do you want to golf today?" I looked up a window, but there's still some damn snow on the ground, man. Come on.
Hey, you can hit around that.
All right, fellas, you guys be good. Talk to y'all later.
Thanks, Wells. That's Mike Wells, ESPN.com, right there on the Payless Liquors hotline. I thought Wells made an interesting comment, Carson Wentz related, I want to hit on when we come back. In about 10 minutes, we're going to have C.J. Moore from The Athletic. And C.J. Moore wrote a really long feature on Tyrese Haliburton that I think provides some insight a little bit more into the new Pacers point guard. So we'll do that in the 9 o'clock hour. Kevin and Corey on a Wednesday, right here, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
It's a big week to save at all 26 Payless Liquors family-owned locations. Oliver Sweet Red, White, and Rosé are only $6.99 a bottle. Bud Light and Coors Light 16-ounce 12-packs are $11.99. Four Roses Yellow Label 750s are just $19.99. Crown in the Purple Bags $22.99. And this Saturday from 9 to 3 at the Southside Flea Market, right next to Payless Liquors East Street location, there's a free COVID vaccination clinic, no appointment needed. More than just your neighborhood liquor store. Open 7 days a week and online at PaylessLiquors.com. Don't pay more, get more, and pay less at Payless Liquors.
Hey there, it's Jake Query. You know, one of the advantages of my work schedule, admittedly, is it allows me to go home and get a couple of things done around the house. And for the last month or so, that has been taking classes. That's correct. I'm taking classes online, Indiana University, finishing the degree that I left on the table back in the mid-'90s, somewhat 20-some years ago. A little bit of a learning curve for me, admittedly, in just learning the software of the laptop. But then once I did, it was really pretty simple in going in each and every day. For right now, the 9 hours that I'm taking this particular semester to finish a degree, I'm one of 700,000 Hoosiers that have left college classes out there. And like a lot of you, I thought those college classes eventually expired, or those credits, all of a sudden I'd have to retake a lot of things. That was not the case. Indiana was great in working with me to give me a roadmap to finishing my degree. And if I can do it, I'm extremely confident that you folks can as well. Whether you are thinking about going back to school or starting out to get that degree for the very first time, Indiana has grants to pay for over 150 certificates in high-wage industries. So there is sure to be a tuition-free option that fits you as an adult going back to school. This is all part of the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. You can find out all the information necessary at nextleveljobs.org. I would love for you to join me in going back to school and getting that number down of Hoosiers that have yet to get that degree. That's nextleveljobs.org.
Patients with the very best in medical care and compassion, it needs a rare kind of staff. That's why Eskenazi Health never stops looking for professionals who understand that technology is most effective when paired with a genuine human touch. If you are a nurse,
a social worker,
or another professional interested in a career with us, visit eskenazihealth.edu/careers. Eskenazi Health, one of Becker's 150 great places to work in healthcare.
We're back. It's always hunting season at the 24th Annual Indiana Deer, Turkey, and Waterfowl Expo, February 24th through the 27th at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. It's the largest hunting expo in the Midwest, displaying the latest hunting, archery, and waterfowl gear. Hunting outfitters from around the globe. Learn from the pros at the Big Time Hunting Seminar Series. Get your deer scored and see the Hoosier Record Book Hall of Fame. And it's all happening during the Ford 67th Annual Indianapolis Boat Sport and Travel Show. Buy tickets online at IndySportShow.com. Another Renfro production.
We buy any car. We buy any car. We buy any car. Any.
Did you know trading in your car at a dealer could cost you money? A recent study found consumers who trade in their car pay an average of $990 more. So don't trade in. Sell it to We Buy Any Car. Learn more and get your free online valuation now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Find out how much your car's worth at We Buy Any Car.
Hey, JMV here for Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232, 317-755-4232. That's online, markdietel.com, markdietel.com today. So you're thinking about getting involved in the housing market here, maybe upgrading over the place that you presently own, or maybe downsizing. No matter what, Mark Dietel is the absolute best. In fact, Veronica in Avon says she needed to downsize and use the equity for the next phase in her life. Enter Mark Dietel. Could not believe how much he got the job done for her. Fantastic, and that's the type of job he's going to do for you. His system guarantees offers in 3 days for full market value, or he will list it for free. There you go, the best. Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232, 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com, markdietel.com today. Big Red Liquors is celebrating 50 years in business and big sales all year, kicking off with the February Super Sale, 20% off 3 bottles of wine or spirits, mix and match. Through February, 20% off 3 bottles, wine and spirits, mix and match, only at Big Red Liquors.
Soccer Saturday featuring Indy 11. If this is your football, this is your show. Saturday at 9 on The Fan.
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
6 minutes before the hour, Jake Query along with Kevin Bowen. Kevin, you wanted to carry on a little bit of the conversation from Mike Wells.
Yeah, I feel like, and it's probably just like the easiest stat to point out, and I don't want to get too nerdy into these numbers, Jake, but...
Oh, too late.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's nerd out for a few minutes. Yeah, thank you, Mark.
That's ogre, isn't it?
What did Amy call herself yesterday that I felt like we were...
A word nerd, right?
Word nerd, yeah, exactly. By the way, I struggled with the Wordle yesterday. I don't know if you did, but I had a big issue with it.
Were you kind of a cynic about it?
Was that yesterday?
I think that was yesterday, yeah.
Mine had like an A and a G and an A in it.
Your Wordle isn't different than anybody else's.
Well, I guess yesterday it was because my wife and I compared, and she had a different word than I did. And I read some New York Times article that they changed the word at one point during the day.
Really?
Anyways, yeah. With quarterbacks, everybody I think points to like, how many touchdowns did you throw? How many interceptions did you throw? I feel like touchdowns is kind of a skewy stat. And I don't know, maybe this sounds stupid, Jake, but like, think back to some of the Carson Wentz touchdown passes last year. One, he had remember that little like flip to Nyheim Hines that counted as a touchdown pass?
Yeah.
Or like the T.Y. Hilton interception with the Raiders.
Yeah.
Like, Jonathan Taylor's screen in San Francisco, you just throw a screen to him and boom, he takes off 75 yards. It counts as a touchdown pass. Like, yes, the touchdown INT ratio was very impressive for Wentz, but I don't think that's like the end-all, be-all. But yet we always go to that because, again, touchdowns and interceptions are very black and white. Two stats that I think the Colts look at a lot more when grading quarterbacks: yards per attempt, completion percentage. Wentz's completion percentage last year, Jake, was 62%. That was good for 25th in the NFL. His yards per attempt was at 6.9. That was good for 20th in the NFL. I think those are better like efficiency metrics that basically mean you aren't consistent enough completing passes and you aren't consistently enough hitting on plays down the field. I think those are more accurate metrics to kind of sum up Carson Wentz's season. Again, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Yes, he protected the ball well. You just get into points on the goal line, Jake, where it's like, oh, Jonathan Saylor got stuffed on first down, so we'll throw it on second down. And that ends up being a touchdown, and then all of a sudden you look at the end of the game, and you could have a really good game and have no touchdown passes.
He did have Carson Wentz. The thing about him is Carson Wentz is not terrible.
No. I'm not. And I don't want to act like I'm going there.
And I'm not saying that you're saying that, but he does have occasional plays, the touchdown at Arizona, where you go, okay, that's why he's there. And he shows athleticism, and, once he was healthy, where you say, okay, he's big, he's mobile, he's a top 15 quarterback. For me, what it came down to, and again, I want to make sure that I'm being very clear here, because people jump all over this because it's a trigger word. I understand that. I totally 1,000% understand Carson Wentz's decision to not be vaccinated, his right to make that decision, and his thinking in coming to that conclusion. All of that to be said, it was something that was essentially implied to be requested upon him by his bosses, with the caveat of, you absolutely are not being mandated to do this, but if it comes back that your decision has an impact on this football team, that's going to be a mark against you. And whether or not you believe in the vaccine, the validity, I get all that. When it came down to it, there was a predetermined, pre-designed, agreed upon action that took place if you were unvaccinated and ended up testing positive, in terms of it would keep you out longer than if you were regular. And I realized that was shortened once he was one who tested positive. But he missed practice time and did not play well. You're not going to convince me that he wasn't feeling under the weather. He did not play well at the point when the Colts absolutely needed him to. And I think that decision came back to haunt him after he was warned to make sure that was the one thing that did not happen.
In the eyes of Jim Irsay, that is a huge, huge
Correct.
issue. But again, Jake, on the field, those important metrics in Frank Reich's eyes in evaluating quarterback play, yards per attempt, completion percentage, below average. And I also think if you want to look at when the game got critical, third, fourth quarter, and Jake, to your point, when the season
got critical,
got very critical, his game dipped as well. So better support with the weapons, certainly. But I think those are important metrics to look at and not just say, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's a little skewed, and I think the Colts would honestly admit that in evaluating him. All right, we come back here on Kevin and Corey. We're going to get more into Tyrese Haliburton, who he is, how he's wired. C.J. Moore from The Athletic, who wrote a great feature on Haliburton, is going to join us next here on The Fan.
Put on your helmet. It's about to get real.
I'll say it. This might be the Carson Wentz experiment, the worst move the Colts have ever made. Name me a word. You guys get mad about Todd Harriman. You guys are mad about Andre Johnson. This is the worst move, if they get rid of him, the Indianapolis Colts have ever made.
Dan Dockage, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Join 93.1 WIBC right down the dial for Indiana University basketball as the Hoosiers take on the Ohio State Buckeyes this Saturday, February 19th. Pregame starts at 11 a.m. with tip-off at 12 noon.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 38,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
A while back, we at AmericanEagle.com were asked to build the e-commerce site of a major candy distributor. With the need for a website that could take into account everything from shipping times to local weather, because, candy melts, the task was not like taking candy from a baby. Fortunately, we live for a good digital challenge and free bonbons. So we got to work on a slew of complex integrations, including a shipping algorithm that factored in variables like distance, speed, and location. The website even let the end customer personalize their candy for special events, like weddings or, major website launches. When all was said and done, our client enjoyed a significant increase in traffic, which we were also well prepared for, and an increase in average order size. A sweet result indeed. For complex e-commerce sites, digital marketing, UX, and more, talk to the experts at AmericanEagle.com. Don't just grow, soar.
Hey, it's JMV for Indiana's best. Andy Moore, Buick GMC. That's 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers. Into 2022, we go with a load of inventory. Your selection is enhanced. Your car buying experience, the absolute best. Talk to my good friend Eric Wilson. If you're looking for a new set of wheels in the new year, get it done at only one place. That's Andy Moore, Buick GMC. Tell him I sent you. 131st and State Road 37. It's Andy Moore, Buick GMC in Fishers.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WIBC HD2 W298BB. WIBC HD3 W228CX. Indianapolis.
Join me today, IU Wisconsin from last night. Purdue plays tonight. We got it covered. Seth Greenberg and I will have it all for you. Also, who in the hell is going to be the Colts quarterback? Join me today, noon to 3.
It's Kevin and Query.
If we die together.
Yeah, better.
You can get it done. You can get it done. What's more, you gotta get it done.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
C.J. Moore is a writer for The Athletic. He covers college basketball, a lot of Big 12-centric coverage for The Athletic. And just before the NBA draft, in which Tyrese Haliburton was coming into the professional ranks, C.J. wrote a profile on the player that has now become the new face of the Pacers, potentially. CJ joins us on the Payless Liquors guest line. CJ, appreciate the time, and I'll begin with this. From the background in which you knew him when you wrote a profile on Tyrese Haliburton when he was coming into the league, did you anticipate he was a player that a franchise could build around?
I don't know if I'd go quite that far, but I thought he was going to be a terrific piece just because he had the shooting. He had excellent IQ. I thought his freshman year, he blended into a team that had really good talent, and he showed he could play that. And then the next year, he was kind of the star and showed he could do that. So I thought he'd figure out a way. And there's a few guys that come through college basketball that you just by being around them and seeing their presence on the floor. And, he was one of the best talkers I've ever seen on the floor. And, he comes to mind, guys like him, Fred VanVleet, just George Niang, who played at Iowa State, just next-level dudes that you knew were going to have long careers in whatever they did. And so I thought very highly of him. Now, being a star, being a guy to build around, I don't know if I'd go that far, but I thought he was going to be a really good pro.
Hey, former Pacer, Jake, George Niang. Shout out there. C.J. Moore from The Athletic, and for those that have an Athletic subscription and haven't seen the story, the title, The NBA Team That Picks Tyrese Haliburton is Getting Someone Special. It's a tremendous feature, so C.J., great work on that. Reading your story, Haliburton's father calls Tyrese kind of an old soul. When the trade was made, the more I read about him, the more I looked into it, talked to people about him, it seems like he can kind of fit this market, which I think in the NBA, CJ, is so critical. Like, for what you know about NBA markets, it seems like off the floor, even on the floor, Tyrese Haliburton has a personality and a persona of like, all right, he kind of fits a smaller market, and he could want to maybe even stay here a little bit longer than most guys that reach NBA stardom.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's Ames is kind of similar in a little bit smaller market that is very, very, very passionate, and he fit that place great. And he's the type of guy that's like going to be all in on wherever he is. So I'm sure he's going to immerse himself in that city. And he's not from far away. He's from like the Milwaukee area. So I'm sure he's he's happy to be there, and with a friend, after anybody who's coming from the Kings is going to be happy to be anywhere, right?
Yeah, touche. C.J. Moore from The Athletic is with us again, a feature on Tyrese Haliburton. You had a great anecdote in there from Bruce Weber, who coached, obviously, against him in the Big 12 at Kansas State, but also coached Haliburton on the U19 team. I didn't realize that on a team with Cade Cunningham, Scotty Barnes, Evan Mobley, it was Haliburton that logged the most minutes, again, on a Team USA team.
Yeah. Bruce absolutely loved him, and I think it speaks to how he can blend into kind of any scenario and be a really valuable piece. I mean, he's just a guy that coaches one on the floor. So I'm not surprised, like I said, that he's had success in the NBA and been able to figure it out, just because super, super high level dude and super high level IQ, and that's why Bruce loved him so much.
What areas? C.J. Moore's our guest from The Athletic. He's a basketball writer that wrote a profile on Tyrese Haliburton heading into the NBA draft when he was coming out of Iowa State. What area of Haliburton's game, either physically speaking or just, maybe from a maturity, if there was any issue there at all, but what area were the question marks about him coming into the league?
I think it was basically the only question marks with him, I think, were his physical attributes. Like, was he going to be strong enough, quick enough, have the explosion to survive in the league, to be a high-level guard in the NBA. And, I think those are areas where he's maybe not the best, but, his body was still kind of young, and I think he was still growing into his body. And, I just think with his size and his vision on the floor and ability to stretch it, he's been able to figure those things out. And, it's been less of a concern than you maybe thought it was. But I'll be honest, like, there was a Big 12 coach that told me, like, he wasn't sure he'd be able to make it just because of his, what he saw as his physical limitations at that time.
CJ, I'm going to put you on the spot here with a little trivia question. You ready?
All right. It's early, but we'll see.
That's right. There's a college basketball program that I started talking up about a month ago because I started watching them, and I'm like, these guys are so well coached. They guard like hell on the perimeter. They move the ball around. They genuinely look to play with enjoyment playing with one another. And I don't know anything about their coach, but man, they're well coached. And they're going to win a tournament game. They're going to win a tournament game is what I said. And then, boom, they break into the top 25 and stub their toe. But you recently profiled them. What school am I talking about?
This makes it pretty easy for me. I'm guessing you're going Wyoming.
That is correct. Am I off base in saying they're going to win a tournament game?
No, I don't think so, because they're going to be so hard to play and prepare for, because they play so much different than basically anybody else in college basketball. And they've got two guys, and Graham Ike and Hunter Maldonado, that are two of the under-the-radar great college basketball players. And Hunter's a 6'7" point guard, and Ike's a terrific post player. And those guys are going to be really, really hard to prep for and be hard to play, because you just don't see many 6'7" point guards that are going to back you down in the post.
Honestly, Jake, I think you're going to print out CJ's article and put it on your fridge, right?
I'm telling you, man.
About the Cowboys.
I don't know. Here's the thing, CJ. I don't know anything about Jeff Linder, their coach, except for that he was at like Northern Colorado. Mm-hmm. Is he one of these guys that all of a sudden in like 5 years we're going to go, yeah, remember he was at Wyoming and now he's at a big-time program? I mean, is this a rising star?
If they go to the Sweet 16, he can move on pretty quick.
For sure.
Yeah. I think a lot of times March success dictates this stuff, but whether he wins in March or not, I think he's a name to watch for. And, he could be on the move this offseason. I think he's really, really good. He's really high level in terms of being able to figure out an offense. Like he's never. What's crazy is, so in the story I write about, they're posting up, they're finishing more possessions in the post than any team in the history of the Synergy database, which goes back to like 2006-07. Passing, by the way, the one of the Purdue teams, I think it was the Isaac Haas team, I think was number one before that. So they post up more than anybody else. But what's crazy is this is the first year he's ever played through the post a bunch. Like he's never had a team that posts up. So he's kind of a chameleon, and he can figure out a way to fit his personnel. So I think he's a really, really high level offensive coach, and a guy that gets how to build a program. And by the way, he's has a good recruiting eye. He's the guy that recruited Dame Lillard to Weber State. So he's kind of the full package, I'd say.
CJ Moore from The Athletic is with us again. He wrote the feature on Tyrese Haliburton. Last one from me, CJ. You mainly, and correct me if I'm wrong, kind of focus on Kansas and the Big 12 area. But when you have a national eye on college basketball, your thoughts on Purdue and the run they could make. A bit of an outlier at times, just with the two big guys and rotating them in and out. Do you think they are capable of making a run to New Orleans?
Well, somebody asked me last week, like, if I had to pick a team to win the national title, who would I pick at that point? And it's hard because I think there's a lot of them that you could say this year. But I picked Purdue, then they went out and stubbed their toe. But I think Purdue's A-plus game is better than anybody else's A-plus game in college basketball with what Jaden Ivey can do and those big guys, and they're just well built around them. So I love them. I wrote about their offense earlier this year. They're probably my favorite team to watch in college basketball this season. I would love to see him go on a long run because I have a ton of respect for Matt Painter and the job he's been able to do. And I think they got a chance. Obviously, everybody's going to say their defense is concerning. I think it's going to keep getting better and better as the closer they get to the tournament. So I think they absolutely have a chance to cut down the nets and to get to a Final Four, all that stuff. And I'm a big just appreciator of watching them play.
Along with a few new Pacers readers for CJ Moore's work, I think a few more Boiler fans following CJ Moore after those comments. CJ, appreciate the time. Again, the NBA team that picks Tyrese Haliburton is getting someone special, a really, really good background on the new Pacers point guard. Appreciate you waking up early with us, CJ.
No problem. Take care, guys.
CJ Moore right there on the Payless Liquors hotline. Again, for those that have The Athletic, a really, really good feature in depth on Haliburton. When he's talking about Purdue, Jake, and I thought this a little bit last night watching the final few minutes of the game, I guess it's a little bit of like NBA thought that kind of crept into my head, but it was a reminder watching Wisconsin execute on one end versus Indiana execute on the other end, why you typically hear the phrase guards win in March.
Yeah, oh yeah.
How much easier did Wisconsin get what they wanted by just giving the ball to Johnny Davis, whereas Indiana couldn't get the ball to Trace Jackson Davis, or when he did touch it, it's a quick double, or you worry about his foul shooting. Now, to be fair, Trace shot it really well last night. I trust a guy like Matt Painter to get Travion Williams and or Zach Edey touches in a much easier manner than Mike Woodson had last night with Trace Jackson Davis. But it was one of those reminders that, again, come March, Jaden Ivey's going to have to carry this team.
I remember my dad, when I was a kid, that's the first thing that, to win, you got to win in the tournament. You got to have guards. That's, you know what I mean? Look, last night, when that game came down to it for Indiana last night, Kevin, who won the game for Wisconsin? And who probably cost the game for Indiana? Look, you get 30 out of Trace Jackson Davis, but what did you not get?
Right.
Guard play, right?
Yeah, Brad Davis and Johnny Davis over Xavier Johnson, Trey Galloway in those moments there. And then on the NBA level, that's why. And I would tell Wells this to his face. I would disagree with what Wells said last hour about, he's maybe not as, in on where the Pacers are from a excitement, intrigue standpoint. It kind of goes with the build around Sabonis versus build around Haliburton. I think it's easier. Now, you still have to, and I do agree with Wells, you still have to make other additions. This building process is just beginning, but beginning it with a guy like Haliburton gives you a much more of a solid foundation than trying to build it initially with the big guy and get the guards. I mean, hell, look at the Sixers. They're continuing to try and find the right pieces around a guy like Joel Embiid. So I think that plays into it as well.
Joel Embiid, man. Look, there are certain guys that are unicorns, right? That guy's unbelievable.
He is unbelievable.
Now, you know who, I mean...
And he's hilarious on social media, by the way.
Okay, those two things that you just mentioned, unicorn, unbelievable, are three things, and hilarious on social media. Giannis, who was unbelievable last night, which we'll get to here in just a second on the Big O Tires SportsCenter update. Do want to say a couple of hellos, by the way. Somebody asked about my hat, because we're on the stream now. But we've always been on the YouTube stream, but it's different. Now, Mark, can you tell us how it's different?
Well, we can actually see both of you simultaneously, which is a nice change from the last few weeks.
Now, where's your camera? Do we have a camera on you?
It's coming tomorrow from what they said. They said.
So not just your hands on Hard Knocks and now your face.
I described it as we're going to look like NFL Red Zone because we're going to have a triple box going.
So it's just like live PD.
Yeah, so we can get Chris Hansen.
What do they call that? The tri box?
This thing, triple box. The octo box, if we had 8 cameras, we'd go octo box.
Yeah.
So, but we have a big splashy Hubler Studio Live logo. You guys have your social media handles.
Oh, really?
Scrolling below you. And every 5 minutes, a Hubler truck goes whizzing by on the graphic.
Well, that's exciting.
That's very exciting.
Boy, animation? This is the real deal.
We've stepped it up.
Do they have different Hubler Automotive Group trucks that go bash? Because they have all kinds of fabulous vehicles there at Hubler.
I've only seen the red ones so far, so maybe just everyone else in the chat has noticed other ones. I've only seen a red one so far.
If I could sneak in one shout out, there's no way she is listening, but it is my wife and I's wedding anniversary today.
Really?
So happy
congratulations.
Wedding anniversary to Maddie. We are 3 years in, and so very grateful and lucky that she said yes. A couple of, I guess, Aprils ago is when I proposed, and then we got married 3 years ago. Honestly, Jake, on a very similar day, temperature-wise to this. We got very fortunate with the weather in mid-February there, so February 16th, always a special place in the Bowen household.
Well, happy anniversary to you and your wife.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Happy anniversary. By the way, also hi to Mike from Fort Wayne, and somebody asked about my hat. This is an Indianapolis Indians hat from the 50s, I think.
Is that wool?
It is wool. Like, I love it. It's super soft. I got it at their gift shop. I don't know.
Good winter hat.
It's a great hat. And then somebody asked, in asking about the hat, if that is an Indianapolis Indians hat, Jake, when do you think they will change their name?
Oh, gosh.
I think actually...
They'll be the Guardians come 2020.
That's right. I think the Indianapolis Indians may have weathered that storm. I don't think they want to change it. I could see them being... I had always said if you needed to change it, you could change it to like the Charlestons or the Majors after either Major Taylor, who's a bicyclist, I realize, but Oscar Charleston, the greatest player ever in baseball to come out of Indianapolis, who played here in Indianapolis, would be fitting, but simply the Capitals would work because they have the one Capital flag hat. But because...
Weren't they looking into a name change like at one point? Didn't
there was external discussion and pressure for them to do it. I think that they have discussed it. I don't know how far those discussions went, to be honest with you, Kevin. But I do feel like the name itself... I almost feel like the Indianapolis Indians, I hate to say that they can get away with it, but that there's a little bit of a pass for two reasons. Number one, because Indian is in the name of not only our city, but our state. And then number two, because I think that they do carry the name with a less cartoonish, caricaturish imagery, and rather with an imagery that is paying homage or respect to the Native American culture. They don't have Chief Nakahoma out there and those kinds of things. Yeah, they don't do any of that kind of stuff, right? And their logo now has changed to just simply almost like a Native American artwork as opposed to a caricature. So I don't know if that buys them time or not. Mark, you're smirking.
There's a comment in the YouTube chat I can't repeat.
Oh. Which one?
It was
of
in
us
reference to Kevin's anniversary. I'll tell you off air.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Great to see a high level.
What better time than now for a Big O Tires Sports Center update?
Thank the Lord. First, Jake's comments yesterday about my parents. And this. Boy.
That was fun, wasn't
Gosh,
it?
they can't.
The Sports Center update on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan is presented by Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Mentioned last night, Giannis had 50. He also added 14 boards. That overcomes 36 from Buddy Hield. While the Pacers were competitive, Kevin, they did lose 128-119 to the Bucks.
Yeah, it was one of those weird games where Milwaukee was at full strength. First off, their big three, Middleton, Giannis, and Drew Holiday. The Pacers were not. No Chris Duarte either, along with Malcolm Brogdon and Miles Turner continuing to miss games. They were kind of always within like single digits, but you just never felt like they were going to get over the hump, and eventually that was the case there. Like you said, Giannis with 50. Buddy Hield had 36. Jake, Buddy Hield, I think, crosses midcourt and is like, I'm open.
Oh, no doubt about that.
8 of 12 from behind the arc. We've gotten the full Buddy Hield experience here in Indiana the first 3 games with him. Tyrese Haliburton, 17 and 8 for him. Jalen Smith, 11 points, 7 rebounds. I need some more clarity on this contract situation because Jalen Smith, I think there's something to work with there. He is now 6 of 12 from 3. The jump shot looks good. He's got a little bit of a left hand as well. I am intrigued by him, to say the least. So the Pacers have the Wizards tonight. Do they break the Eastern Conference streak? Does it end tonight? 2-month-long drought and not beating an Eastern Conference opponent? Or, Jake, do they go into the All-Star break still having not beaten one since you were in the building, right? You and Mottman at the Pistons game?
That is correct, yeah. That's a really good question. I'll say streak ends tonight.
Bank it. Mark, can you look up that line, Pacers-Wizards line?
Sure.
I was there for the last one. I might as well make it another one because I'm going to be there tonight.
I believe Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis did not play the other night. Porzingis they just traded for, gave away Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. So the Wizards really struggling, I would say, considering what the expectations were coming in this year. 11th in the Eastern Conference.
Basically a pick'em game right now. Pacers are a 1-point favorite.
There you go.
A 1-point favorite.
Go.
Okay.
Over under 225.
All-Star break is coming up. Jake, do you remember the Elam ending with the All-Star game, NBA All-Star game? The Ball State professor that created you've got to score to a specific number. The clock doesn't run out. Yep. So I think we're going to have him on Monday to recap the All-Star game and just the Elam ending, which I think a lot of NBA players have enjoyed, that kind of flair to the All-Star game. But it doesn't look like, with Chris Duarte's toe injury, that he will participate in All-Star Weekend playing in the Rising Stars game. So it'll be a time away for the entire Indiana roster. Haliburton might be in that Rising Stars game, though. You would think as a second-year guy.
If I gave you guys $20, could you name one person who's in the slam dunk contest without looking at it?
I think I got one.
You go first, Kev.
Dayton's Obi Toppin.
You are correct. I honestly didn't know who was even competing.
Is he the defending champ?
I don't know.
How many are in there? Like 5, probably? I mean...
I see 4.
James White, Fred Jones.
Yeah. Who was the one dude that never played but then would show up in the All-Star game every
Birdman?
year? Okay. Yeah.
Remember when Birdman tried to dunk it 23 straight times in the dunk contest?
The dunk contest to me is completely played out. I know I'm old, but everything's been done.
Yeah.
I know it sounds crazy. I'm going to get one guess here. Is that right?
Obi Toppin's off the board. He is competing. So you got 3 left.
I'm going to say, even though I realize he's and I think he's hurt, I'll go with Zach LaVine.
He is not competing. He would be the biggest name if he were.
Kuzma?
Nope. Jalen Green of the Houston Rockets.
Okay.
Obi Toppin of the New York Knicks. Cole Anthony of the Orlando Magic. And Juan Toscano Anderson of the Golden State Warriors.
Do that again?
Juan Toscano Anderson, Obi Toppin, Cole Anthony, and Jalen Green.
Clear my Saturday night plans. Make sure I have appointment television to watch that. Television tonight, 9 o'clock in Evanston. Any worry for Purdue in this one?
I think there's always worry.
5.5.
The one thing about this Purdue team that I will say is they have had games because they are so talented where they have won despite not playing necessarily their best. Northwestern's a little bit plucky. You got to go in there and have some level of your P's and Q's about you.
Yeah, Northwestern, I think, has played a little bit better as of late. They did just lose to Illinois on Sunday. Purdue right now is in one of those stretches, not to the level I think we saw early December, Iowa, Rutgers, NC State, but they haven't played great over the last kind of 60 minutes or so, a game and a half. So I think it's important for Purdue to get back on track. They've got Rutgers then on Sunday in Mackey. Last night in Bloomington, we've talked a lot about it today. Collapse in the final 5 minutes, one field goal for the Hoosiers. Mike Woodson last night on Indiana's loss.
Every loss is tough, Don. I mean, we battle and battle. I just thought we made so many defensive mistakes where they didn't have to do anything but go to the free throw line. And it put so much pressure on us to come down and really make shots. I thought Trace played his butt off in race. But we just didn't make the plays, I think, coming down the stretch.
He sounds less than enthused, doesn't he?
Again, next time Rosie's sick, we're calling Mike Woodson, have him read her a bedtime story. That would help put Rosie to sleep. Trace Jackson-Davis, really, really good last night, 38-6. But as Mike Woodson said, they just couldn't get him the ball. And that final possession, Jake, well, like, what was that?
That was Parker Stewart still angry over getting hit in the mouth and completely having a vapor lock. Like, that was horrible.
So you were down 3 with what, 25-ish seconds to go? Like, I don't know, maybe 20 seconds. Like, you had plenty of time. I'm thinking to myself, throw it into Jackson-Davis. Wisconsin fouled every time he touched the ball. There's a chance for a three-point play, if nothing else. If not, you extend the game. Johnny Davis had missed some free throws. It's not like he was knocking home every free throw. So, yeah, I don't understand that whatsoever. So, welcome to sweating the bubble for the umpteenth season in a row in Bloomington.
Not good. Not good at all.
At Ohio State Monday. That is the next game for the Hoosiers. Butler wins at DePaul 73-71. The freshman from Lithuania, Simos Lukosic. Loquacious.
I don't know.
He had a big three last night.
Wrong.
Banked one in.
Wrong.
No Bryce Enzi.
You're wrong.
No Bo Hodges. And Butler wins 2 in a row there. So now 5-9 in the Big East. They're at St. John's on Friday. And we had a, silver medal in the Winter Olympics for an Indiana native, right?
How about that?
Nick Gepper.
3 Olympics now he has medaled, right? 3 Winter Olympics. That is an unprecedented feat for the Winter Olympics for a Hoosier.
You always think about this, Jake. Like, you've got to get lucky in terms of where you're born. Like, Michael Phelps was born at the right time to have the illustrious Olympic career that he had.
Right.
Usain Bolt the same. Nick Gepper would fall in line with that, but still, that is extreme. Obviously, they got to be incredible athletes to go along with that. But, yeah, slope-style silver medal. So 3 straight Olympics that he has medaled in. The first native Hoosier to do that in over a century.
Very cool, for certain. You ready for the pop quiz next?
Yes. Again, another combination, right? You and I?
That's right. We tag-teamed the questions here.
A personal question, right?
We do have a personal we do get to know your listener. This is going to find out how well they can get to know us, right? Or how well they've gotten to know us.
Mark, should I be checking the YouTube comments after your
I could just tell you
immature laugh? The fact that you were laughing in a very immature way leads me to think I could guess the tone.
Yeah. I mean, if you want me to say it, I'll say it. It is clean for radio, but you might not take too kindly to it.
We're going to take a break here.
That's probably the right move.
Pop quiz time coming up next here. 317-239-1070.
Join 93.1 WIBC right down the dial for Indiana University basketball as the Hoosiers take on the Ohio State Buckeyes this Saturday, February 19th. Pregame starts at 11 a.m. with tip-off at 12 noon.
If you're late to the party, shame on you. Download our app by searching 107.5 The Fan in the App Store or Google Play Store. In the now content at your fingertips.
Kelley Blue Book Instant Cash Offer is an offer to buy your car. Enter your vehicle ID info, answer some questions, then get an obligation offer to sell or trade it. For all of the its, KBB.com it.
Hey, it's John for Love Heating and Air. John and Chris Love with the best service this time of year, making sure you're warm and toasty in your home, and that no-cost second opinion at 317-353-2141. And if you mention my name, you'll get $125 off the most advanced air purification system that's out there. That's iWave. Right now, use my name. Love Heating and Air Conditioning, 317-353-2141. Online, love-hvac.com.
If you suffer from chronic joint pain, don't assume that steroid shots, pain pills, and surgery are your only options. You can now get real, lasting, life-changing relief from QC Kinetics. I'm Kevin Bowen, and QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in using biologic therapies to repair damaged tissues in your aching joints, and the success rate is staggering. People with knee and back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, they're moving again, enjoying life again with help from QC Kinetics. This advanced, unique treatment protocol uses natural biologic agents, mostly from your own body. These powerful, highly concentrated growth factors are put directly into your affected joint. They go to work to soothe the inflammation and restore damaged tissue, a truly regenerative treatment. It's time you get a second opinion. You can call QC Kinetics now and wake up to life without pain. So call QC Kinetics for your free consultation, 463-235-7160. That's 463-235-7160.
Even though it's cold outside, now is the time to plan your backyard project. Mark Rowland with Indy Decorative Concrete here. Learn the advantages of our stamped concrete patios. Endless design options, low maintenance, structurally superior, typically lower cost than wood decks or pavers, all backed by the best service and best warranty in town. Visit our showroom on Brookville Road or check us out at indydecorativeconcrete.com.
Jake Query here. Recently I returned to college to finish my degree, and I encourage you to join me. Whether you're like me and life simply got in the way, or you never went to college at all, Indiana offers financial assistance for those ready to move forward. If I can do it, I know you can too. If you're looking for a better job or doing it for your family, Indiana has grants to pay for over 150 certificates in high-wage industries. You're sure to find a tuition-free option that fits you. To apply, visit nextleveljobs.org today. Sponsored by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. That's nextleveljobs.org.
Bet Rivers Sportsbook wants you to experience Rush Pay. When you want to cash out your winnings, you don't want to wait 2 days just to get the go-ahead to withdraw your money. That's why Bet Rivers created Rush Pay. With Rush Pay, 80% of withdrawal requests are approved instantly, meaning you'll get your money faster. Why wait? Get your cash when you want it. Bet with a winner. Bet with Bet Rivers Sportsbook at betrivers.com. Must be 21 and located in Indiana. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-8448.
The Ride with JMV.
Tigers catcher Tucker Barnhart joins us. All right, so if you're listening in on these player rep meetings, any interesting dialogue that you've heard?
Yeah, it was great. Max Scherzer was, for lack of a better term, mother effing people on there a couple weeks ago. It was good.
Man, why don't you roll a tape on that for me? I'll put that in like a re-entry.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6
on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. Have you studied? Can you handle the pressure? Sharpen your pencils. It's time for the Pop Quiz with Kevin and Query. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube, Indiana's favorite oil change since 1985.
Now, Scotty Johnston is off this week, and so that leaves it to the two of us, with Mark assisting, I guess, so the three of us, to come up with Pop Quiz questions. That means a lot less like, on this date in 1929, the Boston Braves left fielder was replaced by a shortstop.
He hit a triple, a double, and a grand slam, but that doesn't matter. This guy did it differently in 1985.
DeMar DeRozan has scored 26 points and has 6 rebounds and 4 steals in 32 straight games for the Bulls. The last Bull to do that, the second to last Bull to do that was.
Correct.
We love Scotty.
Ours is a little more straightforward.
I think this is really straightforward, right?
Yeah, it's pretty doable. Pretty doable. We're giving these things away today. We're giving away oil changes and the filter.
Number 2, though, is kind of tricky. Did you come up with that one?
I did.
Do you watch Jeopardy?
I will say this. Number 2 is a former Pacer.
I see 2 former Pacers on there, right?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. Maybe I don't.
think so.
Do you watch Jeopardy?
I do.
I can see that. Well, I just think
I told you when I was in college,
you
Kevin,
love trivia. I mean, I watched Jeopardy.
My freshman year of college, I told you this story before. I went to the University of Kansas. I never went to class. Most of my peers did. Jeopardy would come on the Topeka television station at like 4 o'clock, and then on the Kansas City station at 7. So after dinner, everybody'd sit around and we'd be watching Jeopardy, and I already watched it at 4 because I blew off class. And I mean, I was a ringer. People are like, this guy knows everything. How is he flunking every class? He didn't even have to go to class. He knows everything.
Is that like how you do when you'll do like the predict the plays that are happening on Twitter, and everybody thinks you're like a mind reader? Like, how do you know that?
No, that actually is. I have a sixth sense when it comes to games.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
I
curious.
love that.
I do. I do. I will.
Here comes a big turnover. Oh wait, I already know what happens. Tweet it.
I'm just telling you, I can sense in games. I've watched a lot of NFL games. Watched a lot of them.
The same trick 30 years later is getting people just on a different medium.
What, do you think I'm watching the Colts game in Topeka and it's airing differently here? No.
Well, there's ways to access that information in a quicker manner than just normal TV.
People at the game, are they tweeting it out?
Well, they could if they wanted to.
They do it all the time. There's nothing that drives me more crazy than like people that are at a Colts game, like a reporter, like Jonathan Taylor runs 3 yards to the left, brings up 2nd and 7. Yeah, I know, man. People are like, they have Gamecast.
Yeah, the play-by-play is a little bit. But then there's some times where I'm like not watching the game and I'm like, I wonder what's happening in the final 2 minutes.
I get it, but you can go to Gamecast.
Yeah.
Mark, do we have callers lined up?
Yes, we do.
Okay, what number are we going with, Kevin?
By the way, I saw the YouTube comment from Donnie. I laughed. Sean goes, nowadays I celebrate my divorce date. So happy anniversary, nice. Sean, if that's you, for the divorce date. And again, happy anniversary to my wife. Let's go with IU needed a 3 late, I guess. Maybe they needed 2. Number 3.
Barry.
I got a friend named Barry.
Barry, did you call the program the other day?
I sure did.
What's up, Barry? Good to hear from you again.
Oh, not much, man. I'm just hanging out at the house today.
Barry, did you play the pop quiz the other day, Barry?
I did, man, and I did a few weeks ago also, and got 4 of the 5.
Ooh. Now hold on, Mark. And Barry, I love the loyalty, and I absolutely love the dedication, and we are thrilled to have you as a listener. Mark, we need to ask for clarification as to whether or not Barry is eligible. Have we not given this disclaimer?
We already brought him on the line.
I'll leave it up to you guys.
Man.
Yeah.
I need to lube my car.
I'm glad you added my car.
All right.
That could have gone a
Barry,
lot of ways.
what kind of car are you driving, Barry?
2010 Hyundai Elantra.
Okay, that's a nice car.
I mean, 4 for 5, and now he's motivated to go 5 for 5. This is the type of finishing that IU needed last night. Barry's going to try and bring it right
All right, Barry, you ready?
Yep.
Do you see the kind of loyalty we have to our listeners? That
Mark wanted to dump him quicker than...
He did. Mark was shaking his head. All right, Barry, question number 1 for you. Last night, the United States men's hockey team was eliminated from the Olympics, by Slovakia when they were shut out in a shootout. The 1980 Miracle on Ice, which is oh so famous from Lake Placid, New York, when they stunned the world and the Russians, was actually the semifinal. That 1980 Olympic team won gold by defeating which country? A, Finland, B, Sweden, C, Canada, or D, Czechoslovakia?
Can you repeat those again?
Finland, Sweden, Canada, Czechoslovakia.
Sweden.
Okay. Kev, go ahead.
Maybe another country, another European country located very close to Sweden.
Finland.
Finland for Barry. Okay. Number 2, Giannis needed 20. Boy, Jake, this handwriting. My handwriting's awful.
Sorry, it's bad.
Giannis needed 21 shots to reach 50 points last night. Who holds the NBA record for fewest field goals in a 50-point performance? Rick Barry, Del Curry, Adrian Dantley, Dale Ellis.
Former Pacer.
Barry's on it.
Curry.
Say it again.
What was the options again? Sorry.
Rick Barry, Del Curry, Adrian Dantley, Dale Ellis. Adrian Dantley, also a former Notre Damer.
Curry.
Okay. Who led the Pacers in scoring last night, Barry?
Buddy Hield.
Wow, no hesitation on that.
Zero
He pulled that faster
whatsoever.
than Buddy Hield from 30 feet.
I was going to say, the IndyCar season begins next weekend. Jake's off to St. Pete. We had that question on yesterday's pop quiz. Barry, the reigning series champion, is it Scott Dixon?
Series champion.
Series
My
champion.
handwriting
He
there,
could be
bud.
serious.
Yeah. This guy strikes me as got a good personality, but I guess serious behind the wheel. Is it Scott Dixon, Takuma Sato, Alex Palou, or Joseph Newgarden?
Scott Dixon.
That's
Okay.
always a good guess.
Last question, Barry. Both Kevin and I attended high school in Indianapolis. Can you name the two high schools we attended? The two different high schools.
Was one of them North Central?
Where did you go, Barry?
Washington.
That's right.
Which one attended North Central?
Kevin.
Okay, and where did Jake attend?
Bishop Chittard.
What if I told you, Barry? Barry, what if I told you
Barry,
that I was very honored, and I'm bragging here, but I was very honored this past year to be inducted into my high school Alumni Hall of Fame, and among those who were in there with me are Gary Thurman, Mitch Daniels, and former Mayor Bart Peterson.
Oh, that's tough, man. All athletes?
Well, Gary Thurman's an athlete.
Man, what side of town?
The north central area of town. Eric Gordon went to my high school. I don't think he's in yet, but he will be.
Oh, North Central.
North Central, yes. All right, let's see how Barry did. Not the same as this 4 for 5 effort last time there. Jake, number one, he said the U.S. men's hockey team eliminated by Slovakia last night. In 1980, they won gold. Obviously, in the semis, they beat the Soviets in that gold medal game. Who do they beat?
That would be Finland. For the gold medal. Now's where things started to go awry for Barry. Giannis needed 21 shots to reach 50 points last night. That is the fourth best in terms of field goal efficiency for a 50-point performance in NBA history. The all-time record is a 50-point performance on just 17 shots. That was accomplished. You guys both thought Del Curry played for the Pacers?
No, I actually thought Dale Ellis.
Okay. Adrian Dantley, who played for the Pacers, I believe in 77 and 78. He appeared in 23 games, was the correct answer.
You blew it!
You don't get to come back tomorrow. You don't even get a lousy copy of our home game. You're a complete loser.
I have never seen a quarterback panic as easy as he has done. What in the Carson Wentz is that right?
Is that Booger?
That's Booger.
Buddy Hield did lead the Pacers in scoring last night. The IndyCar Series reigning champion is not Scott Dixon, Takuma Sato. It is Alex Palou. And indeed, I went to North Central. Kevin, you went to?
I went to Cathedral. So, I mean, Barry was close here. He said I went to North Central. I mean, that's half of it, I guess. And then he said you went to Bishop Chittard. My wife and mom went to Bishop Chittard. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that on air, but
I have a really dumb question. You ready for this?
yeah.
And I'm embarrassed to ask this, so I don't mean, I hope this is not an offensive question because of my naivete. If you attend parochial school in Indiana, or in Indianapolis, if you attend a Catholic high school in Indianapolis, does it depend upon what parish you live in?
So I believe the deanery school for the North Deanery is Chittard. Cathedral is not not a part of the parochial schools.
So
I could be wrong. I think
so
like Roncalli, Cecina, and Cathedral, and I'm probably missing one. Maybe Ritter.
You mean Chittard. So in other words,
sorry.
so Cathedral is the all-encompassing,
Right.
no boundary, no restriction. The others are dependent upon the parish.
But
in
it's
which you
not
live.
like if you went to St. Luke grade school, you could go to Chittard, Cathedral, wherever.
Well, but what I'm saying is if you live in like the parish where Roncalli is, your two choices are you can go to Roncalli or Cathedral. If you live in the parish where Cecina is, your two choices are Cecina or Cathedral. Is that right?
No, I don't think that's right. There are people from the south side that went to Cathedral there. And
Right, like I said. In other words, could someone from the north side go to Cecina?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, could a person from St. Luke go to Cecina?
Right.
I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, I didn't go to Catholic schools until high school, so I don't really know.
Somebody text me and let me know that.
How that works.
I remember always seeing the bus, and I was like, oh, it's St. Pius X. It's obviously St. Pius the 10th or whatever.
The Roman numeral,
Yeah. I didn't know any different when I was a kid.
Yeah. Boy, that X guy couldn't shoot last night either.
He's got a weird-looking shot, too, right?
Yeah, him and Haliburton, they both have got, but I feel like Xavier Johnson is even more of a shot put. And man, I heard you fire up the copier for that pop quiz, and I swear it sounded like some of those balls hitting the side of the backboard last night in Assembly Hall. All right, we come back one final time here on Kevin and Query. Super Bowl ratings are out. We'll hit on that, and I think an interesting note that Jake has been harping on over the past couple of weeks as well.
That I'm right or wrong on?
Right. Certainly right on.
Yeah, shocker there.
Certainly right on. We'll hit on that next here. Kevin and Query.
When it comes to Twin Peaks beverages, they take things pretty seriously, which is why over the last few months they've been innovating cocktails for their elevated drink menu that has something to offer everyone. Get ready for all new additions like Pink Whitney Pink Lemonade Vodka by the Spitting Chiclets crew, the Watermelon Jolly Rancher featuring Watermelon Red Bull, or the Margarita on The Rock, made with Terramata Silver, Dwayne The Rock Johnson's premium tequila. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
You know you work well together as a team. Now take your team to Royal Pen and make your next corporate event fun and affordable. Royal Pen Leisure Centers offer the perfect combination of food and fun for your next group event. At Royal Pen, you don't have to be a super athlete to have a blast. Everyone's on the team when you're bowling. Bowling is a fun, affordable way to socialize and compete with your colleagues. Create team spirit without meetings, reports, or deadlines. Just good times. And keep in mind, it's always cool in our non-smoking facilities. To get the ball rolling, call Royal Pen today at 465-8484 and we'll organize your next corporate event. Get ready to trade in your wingtips and heels for a pair of bowling shoes and have fun bowling.
Set them up, knock them down, send them flying, spinning round.
For more information, call 465-8484 or look us up at royalpen.com.
Royal Pen, bowling, bowling.
Now through February 16th, join a clean and spacious Planet Fitness for zero enrollment and only $10 a month. With tons of equipment and free fitness training, it's the perfect place for everybody to work out.
Even me, Mr. I can't sleep at night, so I keep dozing off during the day.
Especially you, Snoozy. You'll rest easier and feel fit-tacular.
Wait, how did you get in here?
Join in club or at planetfitness.com. Zero enrollment, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Hurry, deal ends February 16th. See club for details.
When it comes to working at Geico, our best advocates are our employees, like Janet. But since she is so focused on growing her career, we hired an actor to read her story.
At Geico, we really help each other. If anything comes up, we work through it as a group, so we all learn.
As a full-time employee, she can also get paid benefits like medical, dental, vision, and parental leave. She even got a plaque for her desk that says, "I'm kind of a big deal." Yeah, you are, Janet.
Ready to start your career, Indy? We're hiring claim sales and service agents. Apply online today at geico.job/Indy.
Feeling the pinch of higher prices?
Golden Oak Lending can save you money with their low 2.25% rate.
James Hawkins here, president of Golden Oak. Offset high prices with lower monthly payments or turn your home equity into cash.
Lock in this low rate while you can. Call 317-706-GOLD today.
Golden Oak Landing, cured my blues.
NMLS 114937, 2.25% fixed, 3.336% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit.
Of course, she needs a college education, but I don't want her buried in student loans for the rest of her life.
It starts here.
She needs a school with great resources, but some of these campuses are so big.
The School of Health and Human Sciences at IUPUI has the resources of a big university on a campus with a hometown feel. It's a more affordable option with access to career paths in Indy's world-class healthcare and sports entertainment hospitality organizations.
At those big schools, I'm worried she'll just be a number.
Hey, it starts here.
Hey, why not IUPUI?
That's what I was thinking.
A tourism, event, and sport management degree fits detail-oriented individuals who like to call the shots in a fast-paced environment. Hands-on internships plus dedicated professors give the education and professional contacts needed to land an ideal job after graduating.
the School of Health and Human Sciences at IUPUI. It starts here. Learn more at shhs.iupui.edu.
Talking to my friend Larry Howald. He owns Howald Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing. He told me he loves cold weather. He gave me a few great furnace tips. First one, easy. Keep your furnace filter clean. Dirty filter makes furnace problems. Furnace on the fritz? Check the door. Make sure it's closed all the way. Safety switch engaged, and make sure the thermostat is on, batteries are charged. Finally, shameless plug for Larry. If you find yourself left out in the cold, call 317-953-4698 or 317-953-HOW8.
Wisconsin hosts Michigan in a Big Ten basketball showdown. Sunday at 12:45 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Carlin. You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
What a movie that was.
Happy 64th birthday, Ice-T today.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
He was at the 500 a couple years ago.
I was surprised to look up some of the ages of those halftime show performers. Mary J. Blige, 51.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And Dr. Dre is old. You said older than you? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so when I remember the first time that I'd heard Dope Man, it was Todd Geyer had like a bootleg tape back when people would, oh man, you got to hear this tape. And then it was the Ghetto Boys was the next bootleg to go around. And I was a freshman in high school. So that was 88. And then Straight Outta Compton really blew up. So if it was 88 and I was 15, then Dr. Dre would have been like 22, 21, 22 years old, all those guys. So they were, 6-7 years older than me. So Dr. Dre's now what, 56?
56, yep.
Yeah.
110.4 million viewers for this year's Super Bowl. That is the most watched since the Falcons and Patriots in 2017.
So which part was that you said I was right about? Hard to keep track, I realize.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Get your checks in the wins column here. I might save that for tomorrow, actually, Jake.
Oh, come on. We got 7 minutes to burn.
What a tease.
Make you sleep on it a little bit there. Does that surprise you? No Brady, no Mahomes, most watched Super Bowl since 17?
No.
Is it really the L.A. market carrying that? It's not like Cincinnati's been
No,
a big
because L.A.
TV
was not
audience.
one of the top 10 markets in terms of its viewership, right?
Right. So I don't get why it was the most watched Super Bowl since 2017.
I think there are a couple of things in play. Yeah. I mean, you may be right in the fact that
I don't know. The Rams are more of a national
they were
brand.
new.
I don't. But really, are people tuning in?
I think.
I thought the Brady greatness appeal always drew someone in, good or bad. Either you love him or you hate him.
I think the Brady style of play became stale. But a big part of it is this. It was in Los Angeles. New stadium. I think a lot of people are like, man, I've heard about this new stadium that built was $5 billion and it's got high-def video boards that run all the way along it, and it's like got this weird swooping, state-of-the-art roof on it and whatever else. And I do think, Kevin, to an extent, and I know people don't want to admit this, but I think to an extent to Americans, L.A. is sexy. Stuff that takes place in L.A. is just cooler than stuff that takes place in New Orleans or Phoenix or Tampa or Detroit. It's just cooler because it's in L.A. It's a place to be.
But you really turn on the Super Bowl because it's in L.A.? That just seems odd to me.
I think it becomes a bigger event. But
I think the halftime show had a lot of buzz around it, too.
I was going to go a little bit there.
And that you had a true underdog in the Bengals going up.
I think the Bengals
championship favorite in the Rams.
I think the Bengals have a lot to do with it in the fact that it was people like a Cinderella story. March Madness. Why is the first week in March Madness always huge in the ratings?
Right.
Because people love seeing Northern Iowa knock somebody off, right?
Yeah, and an underdog is rare in the NFL,
right.
Especially in a Super Bowl setting, but a mega number there. Zach Taylor, contract extension through 2026. So another franchise handing out contract extensions for actual results, whereas Jim Irsay hands them out like Oprah at Christmas with her crowd.
You get a car, and you get a car.
Frank Reich, you've come to work. You've been average. Here you go. Chris Ballard, you've come to work. You've been average. Here you go.
I want to know. Don't tease me like this, Kevin. I want to know what I was right about. I'm not right very often, so I need to know.
We'll get more into it tomorrow.
I want to go home and take a nap, and I'm not going to be able to sleep unless I know.
I would say you're just a good dude. You're right about being a good dude.
Okay. I knew that.
Your philosophy, I think, about running backs in general, you kind of touched on Monday's show. You know, the Rams had, 1.8 yards per carry,
1.9 yards per carry, yeah.
So it's a topic that probably deserves a little bit more time. And it's honestly a topic that will relate to the Colts here. It already has related to the Colts with Nyheim Hines. It could relate to them with Jonathan Taylor, but it's just the value of running backs in the NFL.
Gotcha. I thought maybe it had to do with the Super Bowl ratings.
No, it does not directly have to do with that, but it is a Super Bowl-centric topic. It's just the NFL game, I think, it's evolved a whole lot in the last handful of years.
It has. And you know what? It is a cyclical league, and you wonder if it goes back to the way it was before, when your stars were, and I'm going way back, but you don't have to go that far back to when stars were Edgerrin James and Emmitt Smith and LaDainian Tomlinson and
Ezekiel Elliott was a top 5 pick.
Yeah,
you don't have to go that far back at all.
Was that a wise top 5 pick? Sebastian Janikowski was a first rounder, but it never became a kicker league.
But even
right?
Christian McCaffrey taking 8th overall, it's not even that nowadays. And I say nowadays, I don't want to sound like I'm preaching to some older crowd here, but in the 2022 NFL draft, if you see a running back on the top 10, you're going to be like, whoa, what the hell is going on? That franchise doesn't know anything.
Sonny Michel, who's with the Rams, right? There were 2 backs that came out of Georgia, and one of them was a first rounder. Was he the one that was a first rounder?
I think he was, yeah.
And
Najee Harris, unbelievable career at Alabama. Looks like a freak, and he, doesn't even go in the top 10, top 5, things like that. So we'll hit on that a little bit more tomorrow. You are going to get it done tonight inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse, right?
I will be there. Whether or not the Pacers get it done will be another topic for discussion. That's why I need to go home and nap today, though, right? Because it's going to be a late night.
John goes, for me, the Super Bowl ratings has to be because the teams were fresh, new teams that hadn't won a title.
Yeah, I think there's some
Brady
truth to
being
that.
in it every year got a bit stale.
And you got Joe Burrow, come back from that knee injury and bring in the Bengals, and then you have Stafford, who's been, rotting in Detroit for years.
Well,
rotting in Detroit.
Right there, I think, is a great point you make, Mark. Joe Burrow, SEC. Matthew Stafford, SEC.
Yeah, it's fair.
You bring in, I remember when I worked for the Colts and they drafted, remember Dante Moncrief, Jake?
Oh, yeah.
The amount of Ole Miss fans that all of a sudden anything you post about Moncrief just exploded from a click standpoint. You get the SEC fan base to, come into the NFL world. That is a whole different animal. I'd love to see, an NFL team in Tuscaloosa or somewhere like that just to see what.
Well, when the coach draft Arch Manning out of Ole Miss, we're going to get all kinds of clicks.
Hashtag March for Arch.
I saw yesterday that Cooper Manning's got a 6'8" son. Is that true?
Isn't it healed or
really?
something weird?
Yeah, something weird. I'm like, how did I not know this?
Cooper was the best of all of us.
Cooper was in a commercial on Sunday, right?
He was. Caesars, folks.
It's a nice Wednesday. Going to be a windy Wednesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow, recapping Purdue and Northwestern and the Pacers and the Wizards. See you at 7 a.m.